Okay, with the hour being after 7 o'clock with a full board, we'll open the meeting. First item is minutes of July 16th. Make a motion to accept. Second, any discussions? All's in favor?
Aye.
All right, next one we'll bang out while we got a shot. Marion Street. We had the residents hearing and there was some issues and do you have something from Lynch?
He didn't.
Okay.
He stopped into the office and said he was fine with all the new planting.
Okay, so your neighbor there, Mr. Lynch, said he was happy?
Yeah, he's happy. Like, I met with him.
Okay, and he came in the office, talked to Sarah, and said, yeah, he's happy and he's not gonna be here tonight. So he was the only one, so. Anybody have any questions, comments regarding that? All right, I'll make a motion to release the bond. Second. A second from Bruce, all those in favor? Aye. Run. Run. Before you get called back. All right, next one, we still got some time here, is ANR 655 Elm. Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Phil Mackey, Mackey & Mackey, 1256 Washington Street, Norwood, Massachusetts. This is Counsel Foreign on behalf of the applicant. Ms. Bailey was here a month ago, and you gave her quite a bit of homework. I know she's probably a much better presenter than I, but you're stuck with me tonight. So, at any rate, you had asked two very good questions about frontage and access. And I provided you with a memorandum there, and the short version of this, and we can go in depth as you like, is you are allowed to use frontage in another town on your lot unless the zoning bylaw specifically prohibits it. As the Walpole bylaw does not have any such prohibition, it's allowed. The court first came up with that in the late 80s and has reaffirmed that position multiple times between then and now. And in the memorandum I gave you, I have cited multiple cases that stand for that proposition. As far as the practical and actual access, as early as 1989, the Supreme Court, for that matter, the Supreme Judicial Court here in Massachusetts, found that wetlands in and of themselves do not prohibit access. So for things that absolutely do prohibit access, the classic case is, I have frontage on I-95. You don't have frontage, the state won't let you access it no matter what you do. When they look at wetlands, they actually look at what is the actual impact. And so if you drive down Elm Street, the wetlands kind of dip in and out, but you can drive from the street onto the lot. That's what the requirement is. Now, as far as accessing the rear land, that's not really an A&R question. That's more for the Building Department, the Conservation Commission, and everybody else. And in this particular case, the applicant has gone to the Medfield Conservation Commission and worked with the Walpole Fire Department. And I've included, it's a fairly brief letter from the deputy chief, but I know Katie was going to ask, what does the fire department think about this?
I don't have to do that anymore.
Fair enough.
We don't care.
So at any rate, I did put the letter in, and basically we have obtained an order of conditions to make a common driveway to the fire department standards. Now, notwithstanding that, there's nothing saying that when we come to the building permit that we've met the requirements of the code, because the deputy chief has a fairly long list of things that need to be done before we can build a house, all of which is reasonable, but it's not 81P question, it's a building permit question. And so, for a variety of cases, have stood for wetlands could be, but are not necessarily a detriment to access. In this case, like I said, you can actually drive from the road onto the land. The one impediment is there's a beautiful stone wall that runs along Elm Street. The Medfield Planning Board could have required us to take that down, but no one wants to see the wall gone, so it's staying where it is, because that actually is an impediment, but it's an easily removable one. So in this case, we would submit that we have access, and more importantly, each lot could have its own driveway. There's plenty of land to replicate or fill in wetlands and replicate them elsewhere, but no one really wants to use up more wetland than they need to. So pretty much across the board, it was determined that the best way to access the rear lots is through a common driveway. If we were in Walpole, I would be asking you guys for common driveway special permit, but the common driveway is in Medfield, so that's why I'm not asking you for one. And that's really where we are. So we have access, we're allowed to use the frontage, and I would ask for your endorsement of the A&R plan.
All right, so, we don't make a determination whether it's buildable,
You do not.
and this is like splitting the back of your house.
Right.
All right, so we don't care, you could do this and never get a building permit.
That's correct. That's up to the building commissioner.
All right, everybody understand that? This is one of those that we can do all the time, so make a motion to not approve, not endorse. Yeah, endorse an
endorse.
A&R. And second from John Griffin, all in favor?
A.
Aye. Okay,
I wrote A.
all right, you got
It's written ANR.
4 yeas and a hay. How's that feel?
Works with me.
Run.
I was writing.
Run.
I got to get the plan signed.
An hour later.
Or you can sign it later. Doesn't matter.
Sign.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, that's done. All right.
Do you have to do the street acceptance for Marion as well?
For who?
Marion? Do you vote on that?
We released the bond. The street acceptance done by the town.
Okay.
But now you gotta send that off to the
But you still sign it?
sidewalk. But there's nothing to sign when we release the bond. That was supposed to be, yeah, but there's nothing for us to do on that. The engineers check it to make sure it's done right. That's the as-built, right? Yeah, we don't do anything with that.
Okay.
That's the as-built he's supposed to have, that the engineer is supposed to check and they get a copy of, so it stays with the town. It has nothing to do, we don't sign them, approve or anything.
Perfect.
Okay, with the hour being after 7:04, we have a remand public hearing for John Walsh, applicant, to modify certain conditions of an approval within the definitive subdivision as stipulated in the order of remand from Mass Land Court, case number 21, miscellaneous 00611, definitive subdivision, single-family residence dated February 28, 2014, revised April 2nd, 2024. Maps 38, parcels 23, 24, and said property to be recorded in registry at book 1448, 5, page 146, and book 5007, page 380, and held in accordance with chapter 41, section 81T. With that being said, the hearing is open, just so everybody understands. It's gone through a court process, and the only thing we're allowed to do that we went back and forth in is special conditions, so we are not re-looking at the whole subdivision. It's what it was when it was presented before, so it's just some of the conditions that were challenged, those are the ones we're doing. Okay? Question to you, though, is I saw on Zillow back in May, the Lascivia property was up for sale, and then I saw it disappear, and I saw it come back and said sale pending. You guys, who owns, the Lascivia still own it?
Mr. Chair, yes.
Okay.
And by way of introduction, Brian Almeida for the applicant, Mr. Walsh.
Because when you see 20 acres or something pop up on Zillow, you kind of get your, and then it said pending, so, I don't know. I just wanted, I thought you guys might have bought it, or Walsh, but
No.
it's still in Lascivia's hand?
In the exact same status that it was as of when the application was filed.
Okay. We've gone through, all of us, and we're down to some special conditions that we just went through before to make sure we're all on the same line. So we'll go through what we talked here, then you can let us know if you disagree or any issues with it, okay?
I think we're working from the same revised special conditions, so.
Okay. Number 2 there on the bond, okay, for the first million, we had indicated we wanted it 2 years. There's nothing that says it's only for 2 years.
When you say for 2 years with respect to the bond or to the project?
No, all right, we're doing a double bond. You're doing the one to protect, so if you guys walk away and don't bond the subdivision, this is just to do the work prior to the subdivisions you guys wanted. Basically, when you're hauling out all your dirt. So this bond covers, you gotta go in and seed it, grade it, whatever. That's bond 1, and we talked about for 2 years, because we don't want it sitting out there for 5 and 6 years. Mass General Law is your second bond. Mass General Law for the approval of the regular subdivision is 2 years. So this would be 2 years, and you even reference it in your gravel plan, 2 years to do that, and then when you're done, you come back and post the subdivision bond.
Well, I think the way that it's worded now, it says it will remain in effect until the planning board determines that site stabilization and the
Well, I
obligations.
understand it remain in fact, but we need a done date. This is for the neighbors. So if it doesn't have a done date, you could go 3, 4, 5, 6 years. You can keep the bond forever, because 1%'s a nothing bond for money-wise. So the point is, you give them 2 years, and then even in your operation, you said this is going to take about 2 years. So I want to make sure that there's a drop-dead date for this bond.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think, at least from our perspective, these were the conditions as agreed during mediation. We're here by order of
Yeah,
the court to modify them in accordance with what was agreed to.
So, okay, so you don't want to put it in?
I was operating under the understanding that we were going to incorporate the conditions as they're written, and I think with respect to your concern, the bond does have a textual tie-in directly to when the site stabilization work is done, to which, to your point, we then shift to the second bond that you referenced.
Yeah, I understand that, and you could shift, just so you understand, you could shift to the second bond anytime. You could shift on day 2. Do you know what I mean? If you decide to. Of course, you never get all the dirt out in that time. But because this was talked about, this is for the people, so why wouldn't you want to put it in? Is there an issue?
No, I think first, turning to the court's order, I'm not sure if we have the ability to do anything other than approve the conditions that we agreed to in mediation. I'm reading from paragraph 1 of the court's order indicating, remanded to the board only for modification of the special conditions set forth in the board's decision, with said conditions to be modified in the manner agreed upon by the parties during mediation.
Okay. Well, our attorney, Mr. Lane.
That had been negotiated during the time period during the mediation. And I think we added the language in there, again, that the bond should be released at the time the subdivision bond is approved. And pursuant to the further clauses, the operation plan down below says that it will be done within a 2-year time period. So I think we're protected for the 2 years and 2 other parts of the agreed upon documents there.
And I'm certainly not trying to be difficult, Mr. Chair. I recognize that concern. To Attorney Lane's point, I think that there are other portions of this that address that concern.
Okay.
My concern is mainly complying with the court's order for this evening.
All right. Number 6. I'll probably have you trouble with this. I read it that the police chief's memo, he agrees to the truck traffic per year removal operation. Right? I understand that. But there's nothing in here that refers us back to this. That's what we want to add, just in accordance with September 5th, 25.
So if I'm understanding, Mr. Chair, it would just be saying truck traffic shall adhere to the insert date traffic mitigation plan submitted.
Yeah, that's all, because if you read it from my perspective, is it's like, well, we didn't give you this, just whatever the chief said, whatever's here for traffic, but we want to make sure this whole thing gets in there. So you okay with that?
I think in the spirit of just clarifying what I think was a sentence that could have been worded better, I'm in agreement.
All right, so we're tied right now, right? One of the things that was discussed at mitigation and that was clear, but for some reason on your removal operations is, you guys just said no on-site crushing. We had indicated we didn't want any, all material goes right in the truck and goes, no on-site sifting and manufacturing or anything.
Can you refer me to a particular part of the gravel?
On your mitigation part, number 9 all says you can't do crushing.
On-site crushing, I see it.
Yeah, but it doesn't say it was supposed to be, you know, in there sifting out all the rocks and making gravel, whatever. The way it was always understood, dig, truck, gone. So we just want to make sure that can be added.
My suggestion might be a condition requiring us to submit a gravel remover operation plan that indicates that.
So you just don't want to add this to it?
So if I'm under, just,
You want to put on a special condition?
or your suggestion is to modify mitigation number 9 to say, instead of on-site crushing,
No
it's-
on-site manufacturing of material.
I think that would be fine.
Okay. You want
And
to?
in the spirit of the court's order, we're not modifying any of the conditions, we're modifying this.
You guys going to do that?
We can.
All right. To do. All right, that was easy. And at the advice of our attorney, he wanted us to reference a memo of understanding with the gun club. We have no, what do you call it?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last part, Mr. Chair.
We have no say in this. He wanted us to put it in, so we're just going to acknowledge it in the condition. Is that okay?
Yes, Mr. Chair, to clarify, I don't think that counsel for the gun club's here tonight, but I had had some discussions with him in advance of submitting these conditions, and he wanted a condition in there that said something to the effect of nothing in the board's conditions is intended to interfere with the ability to perform under the memorandum of understanding between Walsh and the gun club, and we're okay with that condition. And
Okay, so-
having the board having had the opportunity to see that memorandum of understanding, I don't think there's anything in there that concerns the conditions or the special conditions that are being amended.
All right. That was all on our conditions. We didn't have anything in the regular, and no true acts.
Just me, Mr. Chair, and I'm happy to run whenever you tell me.
Well, I know Truax is probably on vacation again, so. I will start with, this way, John O'Leary. John, do you have any questions, comments?
No, I think you've covered the point, sir. All
Okay.
set.
John Griffin?
No further questions. Thank you.
Catherine?
Nothing.
Bruce?
Yeah, no further questions.
All right, so from the board, so, and I'm seeing if we had any, I think we had a couple things here. Yep. Fire chief, no new comments because it's the same plan. And Board of Health, it's the same thing as before, no new plan. So those are the only 2 comments we had because nothing on the plan has changed since that time. So anyone from the audience wish to speak on that? If you do, come on up. We'll recognize you. No?
Scott Landry, 605 Lincoln Road. Just looking for a clarification
It says that the hours of operation are 9 to 3, or 7 to 3, I'm sorry.
Yep.
What time does the first truck get to roll down Lincoln Road in front of our house? Is there queuing allowed? Is it roll down at 7? Is it 6:30? Will 5 trucks roll down and then gather? I just want to understand what the parameters of that time frame are.
Typically, been in the business where Boston said you can't start till 7, so you can't start your machine, so there ain't a whole lot of reason for the trucks to queue at 6:30, because they're just gonna sit there half hour. So my own perspective is, yeah, one guy might get there right a little before 7, and then after that they fall in, but there's no reason to be there early.
Understand that, but I'm just looking for clarification from someone that I understand that may be how they normally operate. Maybe not in this case, and it's relevant to myself and the neighbors that there not be a cavalcade of trucks before 7.
We didn't restrict that, but the police chief was very involved in the gravel removal operation and the times, so if you might want to speak to him, what his opinion is, because that's police. So he's very instrumental in being part of this. So if you want to talk to him and find out what he's thinking. But I can only give you from my own experiences. If your truck dies at 6:30, what are you going to do? So.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Kim Williams, 11 Deerfield Drive. And I have a question and a comment after. But my question is that I know that the police department has looked at the safety of having trucks on Lincoln Road, but I am very concerned with that assessment that it's going to be okay. Years ago, there was a operation that was actually, I think, in Norfolk, where they repaired large trucks, and they came down Lincoln, and there was no room for any other cars. They were huge, similar to the trucks that are going to be in this operation. And I remember my mother, who was in her 80s, was driving down, and she almost got killed because there's this humongous truck coming down there, and it's a historic road, it's a scenic road, and we're going to have 400 trucks a day on that. That is a safety concern, a huge safety concern for myself, because I go down there and my whole family, and there are elderly people in the neighborhood. So I don't know why the planning board has not questioned it, or someone hasn't questioned that, but it should be questioned. It's a huge safety concern. There's, even when there are 2 cars going down, it's kind of iffy whether you can both make it, depending on whether it's one of those trucks, the 150s or whatever. They have a little bit of a lip, so you can go up in the lip a little bit and get by. But I'm telling you, it's not good. It really is not. So just as my assessment, I think it should be looked at.
But just so you understand, this has been going on 5 years.
I know, and I brought it up.
Every time we put something up, we get beat back, and by our own. Originally, we wanted to go out to the right, head to Norfolk loaded, and come back the other way, so you only have using basically one lane, seemed the safest.
Right.
That was changed when they did the plan, and they went in front of the police chief, and the police chief wanted them to come out and take a left.
Yep.
So the police chief has approved the traffic. So,
I'm just saying.
I understand. I always
A lot of people are very concerned. The other thing is that because there's been a switch, and now the trucks, I don't know if they're going all the way down Lincoln, or are they going down Plain? I would imagine they're going down Plain.
I think they're going down both.
They're going down Plain.
Right. So are the people on that route aware? And also on the exit, which goes towards Norfolk, are they aware? Do they need to be notified?
No. Oh, it's a public road.
But 400 trucks a day.
No, I understand, but once again, you're asking traffic. We tried to take the ultimate, which we thought we did, dump them in Norfolk, and we got overruled. So the issue, you'd have to talk to down on South Street, the police, whoever, whether the chief was part of it or the traffic, but they set this with Walsh Brothers, so.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that probably a year ago, when this was, we were here again, and the trucks were going to go through Norfolk. And I went to the guy, the DPW, head of the DPW in Norfolk, and he knew nothing about it. He's like, no way. Because as you know, now, there's a bridge there that goes over waterway, and there's no way they could handle the load. I don't know if they can handle the load when they're empty. I have no idea. But that was a huge concern. And I'm assuming that the DPW does know this.
In Norfolk, I don't know.
They don't?
No, there's no requirements to do that, so.
Okay.
But, like I said, this has all been worked out with the traffic, safety, and police, so it's out of our hands.
Okay, so the other thing that I have a question on, not a question, it's kind of like, as you said, this has been going on for a very, very long time, and we have come to almost every meeting. And I just wonder why we're being invited. I really do. I mean,
today?
because, no, just every time. There's no consideration from the builder of our concerns of the fact that they are basically going to level an entire hill that is, we have deer in our backyard all the time and coyotes and all this. I mean, it's a beautiful area. It's going to be leveled. And there's no consideration of, having it something like, other developments that have elevation. It's nothing. So at the end of our road, it's just going to be like that. So that's a huge concern. And then the other thing is that, there is the sportsman's club there, and we hear the guns, throughout the day, but not a lot. But when that is leveled, we will have no more buffer. It will be, and what does that do to the value of our homes? And are people actually going to buy these homes when they're abutting a gun club? It just is so wrong on so many levels, and we've said it over and over again, and I'm so glad that you've listened, but the developer has not budged, and we're stuck with it. We're just absolutely stuck with it. And it's heartbreaking.
Well, just so you understand, is first, the developer's got a right to develop his property within laws, okay? As far as being flat, that's the first thing I hit. It's not going flat because they wanted to maximize the amount of gravel coming out. So now they're within the standard pitches, and it isn't going from Lincoln Road right into the gun club like this. It's actually, there is a slope, all right? The other mitigation is there's a berm behind the houses next to the gun club, and they reduced the houses by 2. That was another mitigation they did. So they're aware of that. So you got the hill there to stop the sound for everybody, and that by reducing the number of houses, they've also reduced the amount of area they're going to chew up.
Oh, and I appreciate that, but with all due respect, I honestly doubt that that's really going to mitigate the sound and the look of I mean, it's just, I don't know if you've ever been up there, but it's just a beautiful area. And looking at that street, it's just an old country road that kind of winds around, and there's sometimes not enough room for 2 cars. And now we're going to have 400 trucks down there.
Can I say something? So I think that the neighbors need to know that you were heard, and we put in what you don't see, because they weren't public meetings here, is we put in countless hours, mediating, going back and forth and trying. Safety, I can't speak for everyone else, but safety was my biggest concern. And if you hadn't come to these meetings and you hadn't spoke up, it wouldn't have been mediated like it was. We put in a lot of time, a lot of money for attorney fees and things like that. So your time, I understand you're frustrated. I understand you're not getting what you wanted, but you were heard, and we did the best we could do legally to come up with something better than what the first proposals were. So it would have been, I don't want to say it would have been worse, but it would have been, you wouldn't have had the adjustments that have been made. We tried.
Is there any way that the police or whoever does, safety assessment can be asked again to take a look at this?
Yeah, you're going to ask them. One of the things we asked is if there's an accident, that they put a cop down there to direct traffic or whatever, and that was,
And they're not going to do that. Wow. I mean, just even coming out of the,
well, that's what we wanted, somebody, instead of a flagman, you'll run over flagmen. No, everybody hates flagmen, but if you're a police officer, you got to watch them.
yep.
And so they said, no. And if they had an accident, no, well, it was basically...
That wasn't the police, though, that said no.
Well, they didn't want to do it either, but they basically come back to us as when something happens, we'll address it as we would any other place in town.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Ma'am?
Hi, Denise Landry, 605 Lincoln Road. I understand that the enforcement and the traffic plan, the enforcement of the traffic plan and some of these terms, gray. There's a lot of room in them for discretion. Who would be the enforcing authority? The police chief, I assume? And what actually enforcement? It looks as though you got a bad truck driver, it's on the trucking company. To what standard is Walsh held in violations of any of these, of this plan?
Well, if it's something on site they agreed to, then it would be up to Walsh to remove them. If not, it would become a zoning violation because it's in our decision, and it would be up to the zoning enforcement officer, which is the building inspector, to enforce. Anything that happens on a public road would be the police.
Okay, because if there, again, speaking to the point you were just making, is that if there's an accident for somebody leaving the site, then the chief of police can come in and request, may, not must, may, request a detail. However, if the accident occurs on the other end, that's not addressed in here. That's what I mean by the gray.
What do you mean the other end? Away from,
Someone coming in with an empty truck has an
on Lincoln
accident.
Road? Well, that would be under the police. It's a public road. Any accidents that happen on there would be up to the police to enforce.
So the requirement would be the same as for someone leaving, that the police could
Yeah,
require?
once they hit the public road, it now becomes the police. We stop at that, at the public road.
Okay, because the condition, the number 7 on the conditions was in the event of a traffic accident at the entrance to the project site caused by the driver hauling gravel from the project site where the gravel hauler is found to be at fault for the accident, and acting in violation of the developer's documented safety protocols. When doing so, the developer may be responsible for the cost of the detail, and that's at the discretion of the Walpole Police Department. But if the accident occurs on the other side, it's not addressed. And it's probably 6 of one, half a dozen the other. But my question, back to my question is, it seems as though all of these enforcement mechanisms are geared towards the trucking company and not to the site developer. And so you're saying that the building inspector would be
Yeah, anything on site that happens. Say they start at 6 in the morning, they work Saturday, and a complaint comes in, He's our enforcement for this decision.
Okay,
Anything that happens on a public road, that's up to the police.
okay. So if there's a violation, what remedy does the building inspector have? Does he shut down operations?
Yeah, he could.
Does he issue fines? Is it negotiable? Is it depending on the severity?
That's up to the building inspector, and he'd have to do investigation and say, I can't speak for him, I don't know what he'd do. I mean, I'm sure if someone started at 6:30 one day and that was it, it stands to reason they might not do anything, but they start doing it all the time, that's when something's gonna be done.
Okay, and in the same issue, if there are more than 40 trips per day, then the same remedy goes to building inspector?
No, because he's not gonna know how many trips they're making. They didn't come,
They're supposed to log it,
yeah.
okay. So if they
So
make,
so if you,
so if a
if
truck
someone
goes
feels,
by my house 22 times a day instead of 20 times a day, 40, because it's, yeah.
yeah, and they're doing a log, so you'd have the right to tell the building inspector, and he'd have to go inspect the log, then that's his thing again. It's in the decision, so that's coming out of within our jurisdiction.
And the speed restriction, 25 miles per hour, it's near the subdivision. So what's the definition of near the subdivision? Is that to the Walpole Police Department's definition, or?
I would guess, because they didn't post any signs or whatever, they didn't give them a whole,
No, it's very gray.
I think, my opinion is, it's very much in your favor that the police chief sat down and went over this. He talked to our attorney. He really reviewed this. We usually have, all of our projects are reviewed by police, fire, all the departments. But we don't usually have the chief sitting down, going through it. To the degree that he did this, I think he's very aware of the concerns. I can't speak for him, but it appears that he's very aware of the concerns. He knows what's coming, and I have confidence that they will deal with it. I think that they put in more time and effort because of all the concerns. It went to him rather than someone else in the department. So I personally think that's a good thing. And, I think you should get some sort of relief about that, because I do think that they will do the best.
And this is a question to process, because all of these mediated meetings and the mediation itself were all conducted under executive session and outside of the public purview. At what point, and if will these negotiations and discussions be made available to the public?
the tapes and everything? I don't know. Mr. Lane?
There aren't any tapes, and it's part of the court-ordered mediation. It specifically requires that it's considered private and not, the mediator cannot be called as a witness and not published. They were not recorded in any way.
So any of the conversations and the discussions regarding the mitigations that were agreed to are not accessible to the public?
They're not accessible as part of the court-ordered mediation.
What about the executive sessions with the town?
Executive sessions, once it's approved, we release it. There's no reason to hold on to it.
And will there be any substance to the executive session minutes?
No, it's kind of like tonight. It's usually like a half hour. We've had, what, maybe 4 of them? Yeah, so a half hour, so.
So the purpose of tonight's meeting basically was informational only. There's no more room for consideration and negotiation in the conditions that were mediated in the court setting. Is that correct?
That's what the judge said, not us. So,
If you just, this is just an aside, if you had disagreed with the judge, what would have been the next step in the process?
you could come and visit me down in Norfolk. There is no.
We can't go to Walpole, so, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd go there, but I'd be just me, but, yeah. You asked about the speed limit. I pulled up the gravel plan. They do show 25 miles an hour from the site all the way up to, I think it's Kingsbury. So that whole stretch, and when they take a right on Kingsbury or Plain, whenever the
Okay, what
street...
about the other way, my way? Coming in from Norfolk?
From Norfolk? Yeah, it's 25 from the Walpole line all the way through.
All the way up?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what they show here.
From the Norfolk line forward?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that, they can't have Norfolk 25. As soon as they get to the Walpole line, boom, 25 all the way up. I can't read it. Is it Plain or Kingsbury? It's one of the two.
Okay,
Okay, so that whole stretch, and then they take a right and away they go.
okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else, questions or comments? No? All right. Do you have any, Mr. Lane?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I could be heard on one point of clarification with respect to the change that you had requested to the gravel removal operation plan, the language you had suggested sort of as an addition or change to number 9 was the creation of material. Would that include screening and sifting?
Yeah.
So,
I made it as simple as possible through the whole thing, so even anybody can understand. Dig, truck, gone. Not dig, sift, truck, gone. Dig, truck, gone. I've said that since day one.
So, Mr. Chair, I can't speak to my own subjective understanding of that beyond saying that I'm sort of ignorant of that process. I'm being told by my client that at least wasn't their understanding with respect to it. So in my ignorance, I thought that I was agreeing to a minor point of clarification with respect to this plan, this gravel removal operation plan, and now being made aware of the fact that it would be a substantive change to what's written here. I don't even think I could agree to it if I wanted to with respect to what the court ordered.
Well, I don't know how it got like this. Do you recall them ever bringing up just rock
I
crushing?
don't recall it being an issue at all during any of the mediations.
We discussed it. Not at mediation. I thought we discussed it at our open meetings.
Yes, that was.
I'm almost positive we did. And Mr. Walsh said it wasn't a problem. I just can't tell you when. I swear we did.
And to hone in on what we're discussing, we're certainly sticking with number 9, prohibiting crushing because of the sound and the disruption that causes, but...
Plus, you don't expect to get many rocks anyway, so let's...
I'm sorry?
You're not going to get many rocks up there. You guys done enough test holes, you won't find any, so...
I can't speak to that. I've already, I think, revealed my ignorance enough about what goes into crushing, sifting, and whatnot.
It's probably in my other notebook.
So, Tom, since this, all of us have recalled and we didn't want this, it was just dig and go, what's your opinion?
You certainly have the right, it's a public hearing, if that's what you're understanding. I'm just trying to see whether it was included in the town engineers, the initial decision back in, is that still in effect? The only thing that's changed are the special conditions. That was not considered in the special conditions initially part of the May 2024 decision. But I do believe Mr. Gemma addressed that in his letter, and then all that was part of the decision, and also Carl Ball was part of the decision.
You think it was in...
I think those are the conditions that we had talked about.
If I can speak to my own recollection, I believe that the town engineer's comments specifically mention and recommend prohibiting crushing, which is why that made its way into the gravel operations plan that we're discussing tonight.
Well, do we have that? Oh, it's Tom.
And I'm also being told that it's in the Mr. Gemma's review as well, prohibiting crushing.
Yeah, crushing, but we also said through the whole thing that we didn't want it to be, we're not setting up a sand pit.
Mr. Gemma, number 24 says, on-site processing of stone is prohibited, including but not limited to crushing, sorting, and washing.
Okay.
Number 25 says on-site screening of loam or topsoil shall be limited to material to be reused on site. and shall be performed within the identified staging area.
That's what
That's
we,
right.
yeah, because you always get the...
That makes sense.
Stop soil.
Wonderful.
So the sifting material would be coming
If they're going to use it on site, they can do it.
to stay on
But if-
site.
Yes.
Yeah, because you got
Yeah.
stumps and everything
And
else.
that's how I remember the discussion. And
Because everybody does it.
Mr. Walsh was
Yeah.
agreeable.
Where's this one come Don't knock that over.
I know. It might whack you.
It's loud.
It's really loud.
I bet your dog has that on the side of his thermos.
So I think this might just sort of be a misunderstanding about sort of the distinction between these terms, but we're satisfied with the way that this is worded in Mr. Gemma's report.
Okay.
So you're not,
And I think this was already incorporated as a condition of the original decision, so it can,
so you're not
it can
doing
remain
any
that way.
sifting or all that, we just, okay,
We're good with the way Mr. Gemma worded it.
okay. And that's part of it anyway, right, Tom?
That's correct. It's
Okay.
part of the decision.
You all set? Okay. Anyone else on the board have any questions, comments? All right. All right. Do you, Tom, you all set?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
A second, all in favor? Aye. Make a motion to approve, is it the amended? Is that how I would say it?
Amended special conditions that include the operation.
Includes the operation.
Second.
Have a second for Bruce. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained. Thank you. I was going to say, Tom, if you could help Sarah with some of the stuff we talked, so it gets all in there. I know it's all new for anybody here, so we want to make sure we don't have the judge sending me somewhere.
We have some time to issue all of it next week.
Okay. Run.
Mr. Chair, thank you.
All right. What we get next?
That's the words of the night run.
Yeah, you never want to stay around.
Aye.
Take care, Tom. Bye.
Good night, Tom.
Gee, someone's gonna trip over that. He almost did.
I have almost done it.
Paying attention. And that little, the very end of the
Okay, with the hour being after 7:10, we have a continued public hearing for Warwick Road. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Lou Petrosi for PT Realty Investors. As you mentioned, this is a continued public hearing for Warwick Road Extension. This is a subsequent request for waivers that we're requesting for the two-lot subdivision off of Warwick Road. The board requested some additions to the plan based on the comment from the fire department and the economic and development director. We've incorporated those changes into the plan. submitted the plan with the requested waivers matching what's on the plan. So we're here asking again for the waivers that have been outlined on the plan and in the correspondence.
Okay, so we got your letter of the 6th, and I got the previous meeting, and we talked about leaving this public, right? Only because you're going from one to the other.
It's at the discretion of the board. I mean, we felt that if you want to keep it private, if you want the cul-de-sac to be private, we're happy to maintain it as a private road. So, but in either case, it would not be objectionable to us.
Okay, and the reason for that is just from who owns what, meaning how do you plow it? That's what it always comes down to. And that's why, and the town's just gonna push to the end, and if they rip up their people's, so that's why I thought if it remains public, then that's the way it should be. Anybody have any questions on that? They think it should be public, or care? Don?
Yeah, no, I think probably, yeah, because
Don? No questions. Okay. Kate?
an arbitrary line doesn't make sense.
I always think public's better.
All right, and Bruce?
Yeah, I would say public too.
All right, so, okay. Does your road, I'm not gonna go through the other ones yet, does your road line up with what you're doing on the other side, so it's,
Yes, we, at the board's suggestion, we made the entry 26 feet wide to comply with what's entering in from Warwick Road.
okay, so when you wouldn't even know it's a different road?
Correct.
Okay.
Which looks good, much better.
All right, stormwater management analysis. You submitted previously, why are you asking for a waiver?
I don't know, I think it was brought up that we didn't submit it the first time, but I think our letter says because it was previously submitted, we didn't submit it again.
I don't know, do you know, Sarah? I know it was before you, maybe?
If they submitted one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did? Okay. So you don't have to waive it because you already did it?
Yeah, well, we didn't know whether or not we were going to be required to resubmit it as part of the...
I'm hitting each one he asked for. Traffic impact, that's up to us. Does anybody have an issue on that?
No.
We don't need a traffic study?
No.
All right. So we will scratch the traffic study. A stone line channel. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, I think that was approved under the previous...
Before I go nuts here, I just want to make sure. Should rush. All right, I'm sorry, I should have been reading with the town engineer. The town engineer didn't have an issue with the stone line. I don't care, I'm not the engineer. Does anybody?
No.
Okay, that's out. You want to go down to 82 feet, and you have something from the fire department that says what you have it is okay?
Yep. We provided swept path analysis, and their comment was to make sure that we didn't have anything that would be elevated beyond 8 feet on the outside, that anything be set back from the cul-de-sac, and they also wanted signage posted of no parking, which we've added to the plan.
Okay. So anybody have issue with that? Just shrinking it, okay. Curbs and gutters, and I want Cape Cod berm. Historically, cul-de-sacs in this town have always been sloped granite, then we changed the whole thing to all sloped granite.
I think the fire chief requested that the Cape Cod berm would be acceptable to them.
Yeah, but he doesn't fix the berms, he just runs over them.
Well, I think he's afraid of cutting the tires on the
No,
granite.
they all are, cul-de-sacs all have it.
I'm not arguing.
Yeah, I know. Say that again?
I'm not arguing.
Again? Jesus, Lou.
This is fairly simple for me.
Yeah, I'm not in favor because especially a cul-de-sac gets chewed up. Plus, all cul-de-sacs have always been like that. And when you're plowing, you fall. If you hit a Cape Cod berm, it's going to be in the guy's front yard. So, no. I'll say a no.
You're saying no granite?
I mean, yes for granite.
Oh.
Leave it as, because it's going to be granite on the Walpole side.
Yeah, I would say all the same.
Absolutely.
Does it show a hydrant in there somewhere?
Excuse me?
A hydrant?
There's a hydrant here and there's a hydrant at the
And
end.
right there.
All right. You asked for sidewalk waiver. Aren't you showing it?
This is the sidewalk in orange. We're asking for a waiver of that to sort of shrink the impervious surface and also to eliminate I don't know if you look on the original plan, we were very close to the wetlands and they were requiring us to have a retaining wall to hold up the back of the sidewalk. So by not requiring a sidewalk, we're going to be further away from the wetland and also not have to build a retaining wall to hold the slope.
What's anybody's... Bruce, you have any...
No comment.
Do you care one way or another?
No.
Cause, Kate?
All right, show me, if you don't mind. So there's sidewalk now, right?
The sidewalk now ends about 80 to 100 feet before our property. And there's a question of whether or not that is actually going to be part of the construction of Warwick Road to the property. I mean, there's been no real final decision on who exactly is going to build the road and how they're going to build it. We're simply suggesting that for these two lots, the distance, having a sidewalk there is really of no consequence. I mean, this person that lives on this side is not going to walk across the street to get on a sidewalk. They're going to just walk down the street. So, if you compare the pros and cons of it, not having to disrupt the wetland and building a retaining wall are much better suited than building a sidewalk there. Eliminating it.
I'm okay with it.
John Griffin?
Also okay with it.
John O'Leary?
Okay, okay.
All right, so we got 3 okays, 1 me, but ain't gonna make a difference because I'm a minority here. Street trees.
There's plenty of trees on this. The reason we requested that waiver is that this is all going to be undisturbed. It's all undisturbed on this side, so you have existing tree cover that's not going to be affected. So, not really going to be meaningful in terms of plantings there.
Because it's all wet, right? You can't do it.
Yeah, it's all wet on this side and wetland on here too.
Okay.
And of course, you have the sewer easement here, so we won't be crossing that sewer easement. It's really going to remain undisturbed for the most part.
All right, John O'Leary, I'll go back to you. What do you think, street trees?
No, his argument seems valid.
Okay. John Griffin?
I agree.
Kate?
Okay.
Bruce?
Yeah, I would say it's okay.
All right, so no street trees, and you already did number 9 above, right?
9.
Oh, you don't got your sheet there? You wanted a waiver request for the 82-foot cul-de-sac.
Yeah, that was what we...
So we axed 1 and 2, and we went along with the rest of them.
Yeah, so
Do we eliminate the same?
Well, we eliminated 7, too. No, we gave him the right 7, yeah, okay.
No sidewalk, yeah.
So
82 is what we've...
if you eliminated the sidewalk, could you make the cul-de-sac just a little bigger if you're eliminating?
At your discretion, we'd appreciate any leniency that you'd grant us. we certainly don't want to,
Yeah. I was just thinking the bigger the better, you know, honestly.
I'd happily take 84 feet if you want to just make it 84. I mean, we've been using 82 in all of our projects, and they seem to have
Yeah, I
been.
mean, that's much better. you know,
84.
For a turnaround, you know.
Yeah.
If we're eliminating the sidewalk, I was just thinking you could go a little bigger, you know,
Sure.
foot or whatever is better than
Whatever
nothing.
you-
Before we go there,
Happy
I
to hear
didn't read,
that.
I'm sorry, I should have read this. The town engineer said he's not in favor of the waiver for the sidewalk. It should be constructed with a wheelchair ramp at the end of cul-de-sac to the acceptance line. So, he's not in favor of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean one way or another. Does that change, or is everybody all set with it?
Well, what does he mean by the acceptance line?
The what? From the cul-de-sac down to right where Lou's finger is, right at the orange.
Where the public
To the
waste,
top.
where the public waste stops.
Yeah, the distance from the cul-de-sac to where the town line starts, okay?
Right.
The town property.
Here's my suggestion, since he said this and you guys, and Mr. Petrosi indicated they don't think they're gonna do a sidewalk. So, why don't we, my suggestion is this waiver will be granted provided that the other part doesn't have a sidewalk. That makes sense. The Walpole side, the town side. Because he said they might not put a sidewalk down Wall Street. So if they don't, they'd be stupid for, you know.
Yeah,
just to
requiring
have a-
him to put one in for
Yes,
all of
exactly.
them, and that
Yeah,
makes
so-
sense, yeah.
I don't think the town's planning on putting
I mean, the town can't even maintain the sidewalks that are there. I mean,
I understand, but if they, you said they might not put it in, so if they don't put it in, then you'll get your waiver.
well, how long do we have to wait for that? I mean,
Or you can't build your road until that's all decided, right?
yeah, you could be right about that.
You gotta get you won't get a building permit because you don't have frontage or a bond or something agreement.
Outsmarting me tonight.
No, I know, you already got something going on, Lou, that you're so freaking agreeable.
Well, after the last hearing, I mean, who can compete with that?
With you, probably another 4 or 5. Yeah, I'd love to go to.
All right, let's stay on track.
All right, so we'll modify it that the waiver for the sidewalk will be granted, provided that on the town side, there is no sidewalk.
Yes.
So the following, well, I'm sorry.
And if it doesn't go through the sidewalk, can we make the,
Yeah, and then add that to it.
84
Yeah,
feet.
you'll make it 84
Yeah,
feet.
well,
that'd be great.
what would you rather have, 84 feet or the sidewalk? I mean, for
I'd
me,
rather see you have to build the Taj Mahal to hold up the sidewalk, but that's me. Waiver request, okay, number 1, we don't have to answer that. Number 2, yes, we don't have to answer that. Number 3, make a motion to grant the traffic impact.
Second.
I'll do the ones, yeah.
Do you want us to approve them each one?
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll go through
second.
a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, Stone Line Channel. Make a motion to grant the waiver.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, waiver to minimum of 82 feet with a sidewalk, 84 feet without a sidewalk.
Second.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Cape Cod berm, we said no. Sidewalks will be what was, did you have that one from before? That the sidewalks, that he'll get the waiver provided that the town doesn't put them on their side. Street trees, make a motion to waive the street trees.
Second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
And number 9 is not applicable because it was the same as before. Okay, so
what was number 9? Wasn't that the cul-de-sac?
it was,
It's the same basically as number 5. 5 and 9 are the same cul-de-sac reduction.
Okay.
right. And that was our town engineer's summary for the wages. Now, before I open the public, does anybody on the board have any further questions, comments?
No.
Okay. I'll open up the public. Anybody in the public have any questions, comments regarding this subdivision? No? Okay. Make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
A second from John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. I'll make a motion to approve the subdivision.
Also second.
A second, and with the waivers granted. Okay, a second from John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me see you run, Lou.
Run.
Now, next one up. We have site plan. There are two, site plan special permit, 715 and 716. And I'll read them both, and because we're on the same property, we run them together. So the first one is, the planning board will hold a public hearing on August 26th at 7:15 for case 26-3 by Michael Palmer, AVO Fence, with property 2160 Providence Highway, shown on Assessors Map 54, parcel 21, Walpole Resource Area 2 and 3, Highway Business, by John Glosser. And the applicant has requested site plan for construction of 13,550 square foot building with access and driveway and parking. So that's the site plan, and planning board on August 20th will hold a meeting at 7:16, special permit case 26-4 per the zoning bylaws, section 12, water resource protection overlay, filed by Michael Palmer, AOV Fence, with respect to property at 2160 Providence Highway, assesses 5421-1, area 1 and 2 in the resource protection. So with that being said, the hearing is opened, and Mr. Glosser.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, my name is John Glosser, Glosser Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole. And also Mike Palmer is right here behind me. He is the... Says hello. He's the owner of AVO Fence. They're a rather large fence company doing a lot of work in eastern Massachusetts and Rhode Island also. In Rhode Island. Mike has purchased from Ted, but actually from Laura Iorio, land along Route 1. The easiest way I can explain to you where it is if you were heading south, coming from the stadium, let's say, and you go by Pine Street, and the next lot is the car wash that's on the corner. And then the next lot is a vacant lot, but you sort of see the ground is kind of raised up, and I think that's because when they built the car wash, they left some of the topsoil and some of the other soil that they didn't need on that lot. And then the next lot, and I have it right here. The next lot is the lot that Mike purchased. So here we are coming southbound on
Northbound.
This is where the car wash is. This is the vacant lot. You can see how these contours are. There was some material piled here for future use. And then this is Mike's lot here. And as you can see, it's quite irregularly shaped. The reason it's irregularly shaped is because these lots needed their frontage 200 feet on Route 1. But because the Iorios owned all the way out to Pine Street, this lot actually has its frontage, its legal frontage on Pine Street. But it also has 85 feet of frontage on Route 1. So in Walpole, you can have your frontage on one street and actually access it from another. There's nothing that prevents there's no regulation in Walpole that prevents you from doing that. And there's plenty of examples of that throughout Walpole. So I'm going to switch glasses. So just to, so I'm going to do three things, probably stop at the end of each one, and you can ask me some questions if you want, or Mike. The first one would be the existing conditions, which I already started to do, but just to go back to the lot, this lot has 178,239 square feet, which is just a little over 4 acres, so it's 4.09 acres. Of that land, 111,507 square feet are upland, so land that is not within bordering vegetated wetland, and that's 2.56 acres. There are a number of environmental resources on this lot that I would like to point out so that we have an exact a picture in your minds of what this lot looks like. So the first is at the sort of the rear of the lot, and almost kind of is the boundary here, and a little bit on this side is School Meadow Brook. So by the Conservation Commission, by the wetlands regulations, the Massachusetts wetland regulations, School Meadow Brook is a river because it flows year-round. So we have what's called an inner riparian zone, which is 100 feet from the river, which is this line here. And then we have an outer riparian zone, which is this line here. The inner riparian zone essentially is no touch. The outer riparian zone, 10% of that, 10% of the whole river area can be altered within that outer riparian zone, between 100 and 200 feet. We also have, and it's high, well, it's not really highlighted, but you can see the flags here. We have bordering vegetated wetlands. So I hired a botanist essentially to delineate the wetlands on the site. We actually had to do this when we did the car wash here. So here's the wetlands here. One other thing I'll tell you while it's in my mind. This site has been, over the years, severely altered. I think it might have been a gravel pit at one time. And there's even a string of utility poles that run across this. There's no wires on them or anything. So it's not like it's 100% virgin land. Something definitely has happened here. I've dug a number of test pits back here, and I would say in a third of those test pits, we see fill, which we call human transported material, that's what they tell us to call it, on the top. So the soil's been, at least in some places, has been moved around. There's a place back here where all of a sudden you're walking along and you see a big boulder, which obviously is not natural in this, in this area right here. That's something we would not normally see. So with that bordering vegetated wetland comes a 25-foot no disturb area. That's under the town regulation, under the town Conservation Commission regulation. And then there's also the 100-foot quote-unquote buffer zone, okay? But I'm sure you all realize it's kind of a misnomer. It's not an area where you can't do any work. It's regulated through the Massachusetts wetland regulation. It's an area where, if you are going to propose work in that area, you have to file an application with the local Conservation Commission. But it is not a no-touch. It's not a buffer that can't be altered. So the other resource area at this site is this blue line here, which is floodplain, so there's a FEMA floodplain here. And then the two areas that you're going to be most interested in is separated by this dotted dashed line here. So on the southern side of this, southwestern side of this, that's water protection, water overlay protection district 2, and on the other side, water resource overlay protection 3. So 2 on this side and 3 on that side. So let me just grab this here. So this is the proposed site plan. So the proposed site plan shows we have 85 feet of frontage on Route 1. We have 248 feet of frontage on Pine Street. So before I go any farther, I'm going to tell you two things. Obviously, Route 1 is state highway layout. Pine Street in this area is state highway layout. Past this property. So when the state widened the highway and put, there were no lights at Pine Street and Route 1. I don't know when they did that, probably in the 90s. They have to because they have to reconstruct Pine Street to bring it up to whatever standards they need to bring it up to. So they take a certain length going in either direction. So not really sure how far it goes on the other side of Route 1, but I think it goes pretty far because they made the jug handles. Think about it, right? They made those jug handles. Those were never there. So the state took quite a bit of land to redesign and make safe the intersection. So anyway, so now this is going to be the entrance and an exit here, and then an entrance and an exit on Pine Street. So there'll be a driveway which will come in here, and you'll be able to go out to Pine Street, and you'll be able to come in from Pine Street and go up to 13,550 square foot building here. The office building will be in the front with the display area here. And there's the place. So what Mike intends to do here is they assemble the materials come in, they assemble the fences as they need them. All of that work has to take place inside the building. Nothing takes place outside the building except moving the material from outside when it comes on a truck from outside the building and to inside the building. So trucks come, fences get assembled, fences get put on the trucks leave. So that's what's going to happen here. So we're going to have 19 parking spaces. 8 of them are up here, 11 of them are up here. These would be more for the customers and other people who might be visiting on a temporary basis, and this would be for the employees. There's areas to access the buildings here that'll have doors here and areas to access the buildings around the back. So that's the proposal. Just to go over the zoning requirements, talked about the frontage. The lot area is 178,000 square feet. We need 40,000 square feet in this zone. We're in the highway business district, obviously. Front setback requirement is 50 feet. We're 121.5 feet back. Side requirement is 25 feet now. It changed from 40, so we're 29 feet back. And the rear is 25, and we're 29 feet away from the lot line there. So the lot coverage by the building is allowed to be 50% in the highway business district. This building is covering 7.6% of the lot. The lot coverage by all impervious allowed in the underlying district is 90%. We're at 31.53. However, the lot coverage in the water protection, the water resource protection overlay district, what's allowed with with a special without a special permit is 15%. That's why we're asking for the special permit to be at 31.53%. And then the parking stalls, 16 are required, and we're showing 19 stalls. Yeah, so I went over the access. So these are 16 feet wide coming in and going out, and then this is 24 feet wide going out to Route 1. So I guess I'm kind of jumped over to the site plan. So let me I'll go over the rest of the site plan so you can see what's going on. So this plan is going to show us the grading and the drainage. So we're up here at Route 1, we're at about elevation 257 or so. So this part of the paved area is going to come down. I think this is about 7% or so. So we're starting at 57.75. Down here we're at 248.5. So we're dropping about 9 feet across the pavement here. And then this area will go up to a high point here. So the driveway going out to Pine Street goes up and it's actually pitching back. And then at this area right here, then we have to go down to Pine Street because we're going to be above it, so we'll go back up to it. As far as drainage, in the main part of the paved area and the rooftop here, we have catch basins here, here, and here, and we're going to capture the water, put it through a storm center, and put it into an underground infiltration basin, so basically concrete galleys. And then that water will come when this gets full, it'll come out and go into a surface infiltration basin, which will be here. As far as this low area here, right before we get to Pine Street, we're putting a couple of catch basins before we get out to Pine Street and putting the water through a few chambers and then out onto the ground here with a pipe and a flared end section. So you might ask, and I know you probably can't see it, but there's another pipe here. Why is that pipe there? That comes from the car wash, because John Shelby, the owner of the car wash, owned this part of the lot when he developed the car wash. So that is simply, and this has all been discussed with John, that's just going to simply be relocated to this location. And that's simply an overflow. And actually, I was out there a couple weeks ago. Our design is so conservative. There's no water coming out of that pipe. No water has ever come out of that pipe. It all goes back into the ground. And that's actually what we're required to do. So as far as meeting the requirement of the town to meet the requirement to have more than 15% of lot coverage, both building and pavement within the Water Resource Protection Overlay District, we have to, well, it says we have to meet the stormwater management regulations, but we actually go beyond that because the stormwater management regulations only deal with the rates of runoff and not the volume of runoff. So in all cases, so for all storms, so we look at the 2, 10, 25, and 100. In all cases, both the rates of runoff, or how fast the water runs off, is reduced or the same. And in all cases, or all storms studied, the volume of water, so how much water actually falls from the sky and runs off, it's either the same or less. And it's not easy to do, but the way it's done is through these infiltration devices. And then, I guess, finally, I'm just going to show you the utilities. This is fairly standard stuff, I would guess. So again, here's Route 1, here's Pine Street, there's gas in Pine Street, so when we bring in, I won't personally, but a gas line will be installed from Pine Street to the building here. We have water in the highway. That water main is actually in the gutter of the street, so it's actually easy access compared to if it wasn't in the gutter. And we're going to bring in a 6-inch fire line and run some domestic property. Now, as far as connection to the sewer, this is a very odd location because when they built the Iorio Arena, right, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but when you go down the hill and you go past where you go into Iorio, you see this little green box over on the side of the road. What the heck is that, John? That's a pump station. And they pump up, and there's actually an easement across the front of this property. There's an easement across all of the properties. Nobody knows where the force main is, but it's being pumped up. There's a manhole at Pine Street and Route 1 that then goes gravity down Pine Street. But this is all being pumped up, so when I ask around, so Joe wasn't the town engineer, it was Carl. Carl, he's, well, just connect into that. Does the town own it? I don't know. I go, okay, that's the end of that discussion. We're not getting involved with that. And the only other sewer available is there's a force main that comes from, if you go down Pine Street at the bottom, off to the right, you'll see like it looks like a little brick building. That's the pump station for when they built Ganawati Farm Estates. Cranberry Lane and Ganawati Farm Lane, I believe. And now I believe it also takes the 55 and older development that's across the street from that. But again, when I asked the town engineer at the time, who owns that pipe? Did the town of Walpole ever actually take that pipe? Because if they didn't, I'm not telling my client tie into that pipe and then have a lawyer call me up and go, hey, after he ties in, or him call me up and say, hey, you can't tie into that pipe, that belongs to so-and-so, right? I don't know about all this stuff. So the easiest way that I told my client is, why are we even bothering with connecting to the sewer? He's got an operation where he has about 25 employees max. So what we do is we're going to put a septic tank here, pump chamber here, and we're going to pump up. We did soil testing here. It's 3-minute inch perk rate. It's nothing but sand out here, similar to what you might see across the street at Walpole Park South. So we're just going to pump up into a septic system. So then so the final thing will just be the special permit, and then you won't have to listen to me anymore. I'm just going to go over the criteria for the special permit.
Upside down. John?
Yeah.
You upside down.
Oh, sorry.
Wouldn't it be documented?
Yeah. If you don't have the town side.
Okay, so for the special permit, so I think everybody has an understanding now of what Mike's going to do here, at least some understanding. So for special permit, there's certain things I have to meet. All requirements of full site plan review are shown on the plans. I hope we tried to do that. A list of applicable special permit triggers associated with the use is identified here, and the list is limited to section 12.4 impervious cover. So we went over that. Mike submitted either today or yesterday his list of materials that he has and uses at this site, which is fairly benign. There will be no chemicals, pesticides, fuels, or other potential toxics or hazardous materials used or stored at the site in quantities that are greater than what would be found in household use. And again, we think that the list confirms that. There will be no storage containers facilities with a greater volume than would be found in household sites used or maintained at the site. Again, like it's very benign, the materials that he has here. There'll be no toxic or hazardous waste generated, stored, or disposed of at the site. Again, same answer. There will be no storage of toxic hazardous materials at the site, including fertilizer and/or waste. So Mike's not in the fertilizer business. He's not in the waste business. He's in the business of essentially bringing in materials, manufacturing the fences, and then bringing the fences out to the lots and properties where they're going to be installed. There will be no storage of any toxic or hazardous materials at the site. Therefore, there will be no structure to contain potential spills, as they are not needed. So it's not similar to other uses that I brought in front of the board where they might have diesel or other materials where you have secondary containment. That's not really required here because the amount and type of materials don't warrant that. There'll be no industrial waste treatment or disposal at the site. There's going to be no waste. There's going to be no waste treatment or disposal here. So no approval from the Mass DEP is being sought, and no permit from the Mass DEP is required. There'll be no underground storage of any kind. There will be no underground storage of any toxic or hazardous materials. A stormwater report that is in compliance with Mass DEP stormwater management regulations in the town of Walpole Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw is attached and has also been submitted to the Walpole Conservation Commission and the DEP. So submitted to the Walpole Conservation Commission because obviously here we are within 100 feet of wetlands. We're also within the 200-foot outer riparian area. So we have an application, and we've actually already had a hearing that has been continued with the Conservation Commission. And then there'll be no earth removed from the site. So actually this is, as I said, this drops fairly steeply, not really that steep, but fairly steeply from front to back in its existing condition, and that's going to be leveled off. And you can see we have grading behind the building along the edges here because the site's going to be lifted up. We're not actually going to be removing any material at all. And then finally, I, John F. Gloucester, PE, designed the stormwater management system, and I certify that the design meets the requirements of the Mass DEP stormwater management regulations. And as such, I certify that the integrity of the underlying groundwater resources will not be degraded. And those words are actually right in the stormwater management regulation. So what the stormwater management the Massachusetts stormwater management regulation says is that when a system is designed in accordance with their regulation, then the water that is discharged from the site is deemed to be not degraded. So that's, I can get you those words if you want to see them, but that's right in there, or else I wouldn't have written that and signed my name to it. Those are the requirements for the special permit. So for the special permit, instead of 15%, we're going to the, what was it, 31.56 or something like that. And that's what we're asking for. We can go is the way it reads, all the way up to what's allowed under the underlying zone, which is 90%. So we're nowhere near that. We're a third of that. I think, Mr. Chairman, if I haven't bored you and others to death, I or Mike can answer any questions that you might have. Oh, there is one other thing. Because we are accessing and egressing from State Highway, we did not commission, we do have a traffic engineer who's helping us with the permitting from the state, but I did not commission him to do a traffic study. He'll do whatever Mass Highway tells him to do. It's Chapel Engineering, I think they're out of North Carolina or South Carolina. No, you can. Okay,
Here we go.
I'm done.
All right. I'll read comments from boards. We got a couple others from people. First off, Board of Health, August 5th. They want to reiterate comments they made at July 28th meeting, and they voted unanimously. They don't like construction within 100 foot of the buffer zone. And then they want you to adopt best practices for mosquito mitigation with an off-ox mosquito control. And should you need an on-site septic, you'd have to do soils testing and submit required septic plans, as I'm sure you're fully aware, John.
Yes, since they wrote that, we did the soil testing and submitted the plan to the Board of Health, and I haven't heard back from them, so I'm assuming that they approved it because that's the way they work. If they have a problem with it, they let me know.
Okay, from Conservation, Landis Hershey, dated the 18th of August. The proposed project at 2160 Providence Highway is under review by the Conservation, and a notice of land disturbance permit. First hearing is the 12th of August, the next one's September 23rd. Wetland resources shown on the plan, border investigated wetlands, river boundary, and riverfront have not been verified in the field. Commission requested DEP delineation, whatever, forms for both, and the boundary of the School Brook Meadow, the FEMA floodplain, and the 100-year floodplain. So it's just telling us everything you gotta do for them, right?
Yeah, it's because the forms, apparently when we did the work originally for John Shelby, the forms, the DEP changed the forms. So anyway, the person who delineates the wetlands for me is on, she knows about that, and
So she's just telling us what you guys gotta do, just informing us. From the fire department, Alan Holber. Is that right? Okay. He says the plans, number one, plans required to show analysis and evaluation for apparatus maneuvers through the site. A copy of our apparatus can be forwarded to you. Any vertical obstructions must be a minimum 13.6. The fire department likes Cape Cod berms. The island from Route 1 should be multiple to allow access into the site. Our operation requires fire hydrant within 100 feet of the fire department connection, and they'll work with the applicant on where. I guess that would come during building permit. I don't know if you necessarily have it on Oz, John. Yes, no?
So I haven't had a chance to go see Deputy Chief Hover, but I will.
Okay. Is he like the boogeyman? Because all you guys never submit your turn-in radius. We get that every time.
Actually, we generated the plan, but, you know, to be honest, we have the software, but I don't think our computer, it's like you need a pretty powerful computer to make the thing work right, as far as I can tell. So we have the software, but when I look at it when it's done and the draftsman shows it, I said, I don't think it's working right. So we have it. I'm going to ask the traffic engineer who I've hired to help me with this to see if he can make all he needs to do is to contact me, and I think they'll make a better plan. Ours it looks like sketchy. It looks like every time you went to hit the button, you coughed, and the thing moved. So I think there's something incompatible between the software and the computers we're running on it, which they run AutoCAD, but apparently that doesn't run this too well. So
let's approve signage, roadway markings must be provided to maintain fire and for the fire department. Access roads, fire lanes, key boxes which come under building permit. And I always put that in there. And NFPA 241 must be reviewed prior to construction, which is, once again, not us, but when you go to get your building permit. So I think you guys know that. From our town engineer, dated August 19th. Okay, first item, he says, do the ownership information. They need the assessor certification, site plans to identify different applicant ownership. Okay? So he wants, for some reason, he said the site plan differs from what the assessor has.
Yeah, I think the assessors still show it as Iorio, as Ted Iorio.
Well, he's looking to make sure he owns it, but...
Do you own it? No, he owns it. I have the deed. No.
Yeah, but I understand, well, Dennis not here anymore, but they do it like once or twice a year. So.
Yeah, it just happened recently, the sale, so...
He just wants to make sure.
Yeah.
Can't be building on someone else, right?
He's a good guy. You're lucky to have him. I tell you, he's a smart guy.
You've requested a waiver on traffic impact assessment. He wants additional information supporting the waiver, including an employee anticipated employee count, hours of operation, vehicle trips, and so on. So you're going to get this came out yesterday, so I don't know if you have a copy yet, but he's talking about the special permit for impervious greater than 15%. And you have submitted a stormwater management demonstrating the compliance subject to the satisfactory resolution of the engineering. So they don't have any objection, I guess.
None at all. So, in fact, I was out at the site with Joe last week to do some additional test pits that he was sort of asking for, because we didn't have one down here. One that was done for Shelby would be okay. So we had a good conversation, and I said, Joe, we just have to meet in your office and go over the comments, and I'm sure that everything that he's written on there can be resolved.
Okay, general comments, show all retaining walls on the layout materials plan to improve coordination between site features, sidewalks, parking areas, and grading, clarify the paving limits along the north side of the building, revise it to distinguish pavement, sidewalk, landscaping, label all curb radii on the materials plan, provide access parking signage at the handicap for ABB. Is that an issue? The only reason I bring that up is sometimes you go for the building permit and the thing moves, but
Yeah, well, like I said.
just show one like you think it's supposed to be, and if Mr. Crowley moves it, it's not on us.
We're going to do whatever the town engineer recommends. But like I said, I just didn't have a chance to.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's so much easier just to sit down and go through them and then just draw right on the plan what.
Well, my suggestion is rather than just, well, he doesn't make the final call, Crowley will, so you just ask him.
Yeah.
We've had issues in the past that it's, especially if you only get two this way and you gotta move it.
Yeah.
So, you know the drill, John.
Yeah.
Patch or otherwise identify all riprap along the 1-1 slope, revise the infiltration system, identify bottom of stone, top of stone, seasonal high groundwater, and available groundwater separation, manufacture cut sheets for the exterior lights, which includes, shielding, output, color, retaining wall designed by a mass professional engineer. And do you have a wall that's that high?
No.
So
I don't believe we have any
I think it's
walls that are over 4 feet high.
Oh, 4 foot, okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I didn't think you did.
That's, not to be dead horse, but that's why it's easier just to sit down with Joe and say.
All right, so you're gonna take this and go see it?
I'm gonna see him next week for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm getting boring too. Evaluate the need for road barrier protection along the steep embankments. Okay, you're gonna see revised drainage plans for the identified proposed catch basin inlets. All symbols of lines, hatching abbreviations, turn-in analysis for the fire department, stop and intersection, site distance, Route 1 and Pine, stormwater comments, they witnessed it on August 13th, and you gotta do the logs and everything, and you gotta revise the analysis for the infiltration rate, clarify the methodology for infiltration system 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked to him a little bit about that out in the field, but it's just, like I said,
reconcile the drainage area, the modeled area, identify the treatment drain for each drainage area, supporting documentation for the treatment device, sizing methodology, identify roof drains, summary table of each infiltration with the bottoms, the tops, the overflows, identify emergency overflows, verify all drainage structure rim elevations, revise peak grade attenuation for pre and post development, and hydraulic calcs demonstrating the proposed drainage system. So basically, it sounds like you're not 100% and you gotta go see it, right?
yeah, I mean, it's not like I have it with me if you want to see it. I can read it to you. We gave them they have the stormwater management report, but...
Well, I'd like to take it home tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a matter, every engineer kind of does it a little different.
Anybody else want?
Finding out what he
Well,
wants
please.
and just do it.
Yeah, we all want copies tonight, Joe.
Mike will go out and Xerox them for you if you want.
Haven't got a PDFs yet? You know what those are?
Can't sleep tonight.
You don't have a computer big enough. All right, from Pat Duchesne, do you want to say them, or you want me to just do them?
Yeah, I'll just be quick. I won't go over all of it.
You didn't even know he was here.
You was hiding. Stealth.
Yeah. No, most of my comments kind of were followed up by Alan, as a little bit from Joe. But, I mean, do you have architectural renderings as well?
I think we probably do now.
Yeah.
We gave you one because at the time the architect really hadn't drawn up the plan,
Yeah.
but we gave you what the front of the building would look like. That was in the package.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess just seeing those again, elevations, so we can just see what the facade looks like. I think Alan kind of covered my concerns with the turning radius, interior signage. Is there going to be any outdoor storage materials? I think one of my recommendations is going with fencing along the rear and right side of the front of the building.
The northeast side and the back. The part of that building is covered storage. It's actually the very rear of that building is
This is covered
Yeah.
storage here, and then there's some storage.
it's in this area.
In terms of,
Yeah, there's, yeah,
stopping any sort of debris from getting in the back.
covered storage here. And then,
Yep. And then, most of that's been covered. So you do have bays for the building? Bays or loading dock? No. Okay. And I guess one question, although Help didn't really have an issue with it, so the dumpster location seems kind of odd right next to the building like that. Is
Yeah,
that easily
well,
accessible?
We need to see the plan from the architect.
Okay.
It's like, so we'll have a plan from the architect next week.
It's in one. I don't know if you have it done by next week.
We'll have it to you.
Yeah, no,
And if that means, I know what you're saying.
minor thing, but it was just seemed hard to
I know what you're
access.
saying,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where, my guy should have, like, where are we going to put the dumpster?
I got you.
So we don't have a dumpster.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, other than that, everything else has been covered. Thank you.
All right. Okay. I have a letter from John Shelby, who owns the Rojos, and he supported the building. And he likes the new investment to the property, and from my perspective, as adjacent business owner, he's supporting the project moving forward. So basically, John is in favor of the project. We have, unless they're here tonight, Brookside Village. Anybody from Brookside? You guys want to read it or talk about it? Or do you want me to read it?
So I'm Bob Atwood. I'm one of the trustees at Brookside Village. And like Weber is here with me. He's also a trustee. And one of our other residents, Alan Boyer, is here with us. Brookside Village is a 30-unit condo association. We are located right off Pine Street. Our property line is within 200 feet of the proposed project, and we have 3 or 4 units that are about 550 feet from the project area. We have reviewed the narrative that was produced and submitted to you folks, as well as the site plan drawings, many of which I guess you've seen tonight, so we've had a chance to take a look at it. I think that our major concern, and we feel it's pretty significant, is the access road, egress access road onto Pine Street. That particular location is a very dangerous location. It is very close. Very close to a high-traffic area. A part of it is actually within the truck restriction zone of Pine Street, where truck sizes are limited. It's right at the same access points for it's the name of the preserve up on the hill, as well as Rojo's Car Wash, as well as an exit that's coming off of Route 1 that's going north. We feel that that location is too narrow. It's on a bend. In fact, I forgot to give you these, but I do have some photographs of those areas. If it would help you, I'm happy to hand them out. And that's right. Do you all have those?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I tried to give you a perspective on where that access road would be relative to the S-shaped bends that are in Pine Street at that location. We feel that it was identified, that access was identified in the documents as the preferred entrance onto Route 1. And there is already an entrance on Route 1 on the site plans. I suspect that it has to do with traffic going south on Route 1, but there was a turnaround a quarter of a mile up north on Route 1 where they can make a U-turn and go south. So I think that our biggest concern is that access road and the danger it presents to people, and it's a fairly high traffic volume in that location. We're concerned about that. That access road also adds 10,000 square feet of paving to the project. We're concerned about runoff that would ultimately end up on our property. There's a stream, as you all know, there's a stream at the base of that. So all in all, we're here to say that we hope, we're requesting actually, that you folks not approve a site plan that includes an egress access onto Pine Street. We're not opposed to the project. We're opposed to that particular component of the project. That's our request. We hope you'll give it serious consideration. I know that Alan wants to say a few things. Mike, did you want to say anything?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Al?
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
So Bob and I are kind of friends. They were going to hire me years ago to work over at their condos, but
still?
So until they got my proposal, then they said, But one thing I think that might be very helpful to you guys is, I can have my draftsman, and he's on vacation now, but he'll be back Monday, is to take your plans, and I'm sure I can get them here at the town hall, like your as-built plan, where all your units are and everything, and put it right onto that plan so you can see exactly how far the units are to where that building is going to be.
Okay.
I'm not trying to sell you anything. Yeah, okay, but I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I just think that if you can see it, whether that helps me or hurts me, I want you to be able to actually see it on one plan. here's where all the buildings are, here's where this building and this roadway's gonna go. The other thing we can do for you is actually stake in the field exactly where that driveway's gonna come out onto Pine Street.
That's a good idea.
So there's no question, right? So nobody's going, oh, it's over there, and then when they go build it, gee, I didn't know it was gonna be over there, you know? Whether that helps me or hurts me, that's what I think you guys need to see.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
I will tell you that I drive that street every day. And I have encountered all kinds of surprises at those bends in terms of kids walking, in terms of trucks. We spent 1.5 years trying to get an agreement with the town of Walpole and Sharon to restrict 2.5-ton trucks and over from South Walpole Street and Pine Street. There are still some trucks that come down, but I guess one question I'd have for you folks is what size trucks are going to come onto the property, because it doesn't appear to me that there's a whole lot of turnaround space. So I think it would be a disaster to see large trailer trucks going out that access road into that part of Pine Street, which is already struggling to deal with the volume of traffic. And the car wash introduces a lot of that. So,
Yes, to address that stuff, I don't know if you heard, but one of the things the town engineer wanted to know was how many trips, what are we talking about, blah, blah, blah. So he still owes us that. How many trips, what he's talking for number of employees and all that. Okay, so he owes us that, so you'll be able to see from that. And John had talked about he's going to have a traffic engineer, so I assume the traffic engineer is going to take a gander at that. And I don't know about the 2.5-ton sign where it is. I don't even know what the law is. No, I know what you showed, but I'm saying if it's too far up, meaning can he go out legally? That's all.
he's on it. If they come out of that access road, he's within that restriction zone.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's what I'm saying. Say if he's in the middle of it, what, is that a legal thing? Did someone actually stake it out to say right here? Can that be moved 10 feet? That's all. That's all gonna have to be worked out by these guys, if they do find it's in the middle. If that is a kind of a sticking point, but since, John, you're gonna do some traffic engineering and tell us number of employees, and we don't even know what you're gonna use, whether it's tractor trailers, which, that'd be a bitch coming out of there. I know going, because.
That is a disaster. A tractor truck coming on.
Yeah, to me, you'd be going towards north with a tractor trailer, but.
So, Mr. Chairman, I just asked Ms. Palmer, so we would accept the condition that any trucks that are coming out of there only go to Route 1?
Well, we're gonna need.
How about if they don't come out of there?
John, just so you understand, we still need all the stuff the town engineer wants. How many employees, number of trips, blah, 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 so that everybody knows what's up. He may have 2 trucks going south and no one would care, or he could have 200 and we'll all care.
Could we also receive information on the size of those trucks?
Yeah, he should be telling us whether they're a 6-wheel panel truck, tractor trailer. That should be all part of.
Just so everybody knows, they're 24-foot flatbeds.
Okay.
That's all.
That's all. Three, we own 3.
Put that with, so you submit it and everybody knows, okay? All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks. I can appreciate what you go through for all these cases. I'm Alan Boyer. I also live on Fillmore Lane at the over 55 development. And first of all, I admire the effort and the entrepreneurship to conduct industry in the area. If people nationally know that if you are a fence company from Walpole, you are very well considered, in high regard. But like Bob said, it's the 4 entry points on this S-curve going downward that's very dangerous. I drive it as well. Oftentimes I encounter motorists going very fast, and with the S-curve nature, there are blind spots. So we walked it off And we found that within 40 meters or maybe 50 meters, there are 4 entry points coming into this narrow curve. It could be very dangerous, in my humble opinion. There are no lights to regulate. I don't think there are any signs to warn those in vehicles to slow down or be cautious. So it's, in my humble opinion, a prescription for a very unsafe area. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
So, Mr. Chairman, so again, we'll add those, because I have those located when we did the work at the car wash. So we will add those plans. It'll just be sort of, I mean, it's going to be accurate. It's all, but we'll add all of that, the entrance from Hilltop, the entrance from the car wash, the new entrance, how the road's curving, so you can see all of that stuff. It's just, I just want everyone to have enough information to feel comfortable that they know exactly what this is going to look like when and if it gets built. So, okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience? Ma'am?
Thank you for hearing my concerns. My name is Karen Johnson. I live at 162 Pine Street, and I'm not as eloquent as those in the audience that could speak without reading their phone. So I'm going to read my notes here. As I said, I'm a homeowner of 35 years at 162 Pine Street. Although I am not an abutter, I feel as though I will be directly affected by the project of AVO fence proposed and having their access road and parking lot that has been planned. I'm very, very concerned about the additional traffic it may bring to Pine Street. Pine Street, when I moved there, and I'm assuming it still is, a designated scenic road that already has experienced significant traffic from the nearby approximately 300-unit Ganawat Preserve apartment complex, the Rojo Car Wash. Dare I mention the Patriots games and the numerous concerts all throughout the year, and our beloved cut-through drivers. The road has a narrow, winding bend up by the Rojo car wash, and it makes it especially dangerous for pedestrians and residents entering or leaving their driveways. The Brookside Village leaving their driveway, myself, getting the mail is oftentimes a hazard. Going out to get my mail and picking up my garbage can on Wednesday morning is dangerous. Not all the time, but I always have to look. The Walpole police have been called over the years numerous times to do what they would call like standing in with their motorcycles, watching for the traffic and trying to catch the speeders, but to no avail. It slows them down for 1 or 2 days, and that's it. I can tell you, and I can tell you how bad it is that my neighbor who lives to the right side of me, and also the people in Cranberry Lane and Ganawat Preserve, or the estates, the 15 houses that are across the street from me. So many people say, we have to be so careful even when we cross the street to get to our neighbor's house. But the main concern as Bob and Alan had mentioned, is the road and the bend along where they propose for the access road. That is so dangerous, and I have to say that the only reason why people slow down is because they don't want to scratch their car. They're not concerned about denting yours. They don't want to scratch their car. And God forbid if you're even picking up, I mean, I used to pick up trash, believe it or not, along the way, because I was so annoyed at all the trash. And now I couldn't even think about picking up the trash because the cars come around the corner so fast, and we won't even talk about all the people that look at their phones and drive and text and think, oh, there's a person walking their dog. And so that's very, very dangerous there. So the other thing that I'm concerned about is the aggressive drivers. Now, I think it was just mentioned, which I didn't know, that they're going to have 19 employees at this fence company. So it might sound funny, but because I've lived there for 35 years, people are late for work, and they race down Pine Street, and they cross the double line, and they tailgate you, and if there's an access road there, I'm concerned there's 19 more employees that are going to be added to this disaster. It's an absolute disaster. I don't know if I can speak for Bob or Alan, but because we always drive on that road, we always have to look. And when I have company, I always tell my friends and family, you have to be careful when you go around the curve, because it's very dangerous. So my proposal to the planning board and to the town is that it's not that I'm against an access road, but can you move it to a different location where it's more safe? Like, is there a place on Route 1? I have no idea. So when you go up Pine Street and you take a right by Rojo and a proposed site, I'm not very good at reading this right now, is there an access road that the trucks can come in that way? Why do they have to come in right when there's the 4 points that Bob and Alan had mentioned? So as a resident that has been there and seen significant changes, I'm asking that the town and the board members look at this in a very serious way, because we're all affected by it. The other thing, too, is the parking lot, and I don't know about the parking lot, but if they have big lights and, you know, there's a place across the street from Rojo that services trucks, and they have big lights. And then if you've ever driven by Rojo at night, it looks like Disneyland. There's so many lights at the car wash. So I don't know what the parking lot for AVO fence is going to look like. Are there going to be huge lights? Is it going to impact Brookside Village? Not that I expect on my deck at Pine Street to see starry stars at night, but I think that the lighting will also affect us. And also, if they can make changes, if it's going to impact especially Brookside Village, how about putting trees up so they don't hear any noise or see anything? They paid a lot of money to live there. And I don't think that they should have to see trucks and feel as though that they're in that environment. So thank you very much for listening to me. I appreciate anything that you can do for us. Thank you.
Okay, just a couple things. They're gonna have to come back and tell us how many trucks, what the trucks are and all that, and have the traffic engineer indicate, does this work, does it not? As far as the lighting, all the lighting doesn't go much beyond 30 feet beyond the property. All lights have to be down, so you'll never see them. They'll never shine. That's the way they're supposed to be, with all the shields and stuff, so that's on their plan. So from me to that back wall, from the light, you won't see the light that far away. All right. And they're not going to be like Minuteman, like, Gillette. It's going to be normal lighting, what you see in a, typical small manufacturing place.
I see.
Okay.
The other thing too, as I keep mentioning, is that the police spend so much time on the road because the traffic, people do not slow down. And we've suggested speed bumps along the way, but I think the town or whoever looks into that, the traffic people have said no. And I don't know if that would really fix it.
No,
But it's,
we know where the traffic is. Sharon's generated it all. Because I was here for their approval way back, and we had people from Sharon telling us, you should restrict trucks coming down. I said, whoa, you building a Costco now, you built all this stuff, and you want us to restrict your traffic? They were the ones, it was a cut through. It was all the trailer trucks at the time using their WAs or whatever. So that was it's nice to hear you guys finally got it done, but it was just amazing. Like, we're supposed to solve the problem Sharon made.
so I was not happy, of course, when Costco went in, and
At least they stopped the trailer trucks. I remember that. That was pretty bad.
and I have a nice letter to Mr. Kraft to see if he could help me with the trash that's put on the road based on the Patriots and the concerts, but that's another project. But as the gentleman had said, that S-curve is very, very dangerous, and people do not care. And I've seen it for decades, and it's getting worse. So because, like I said, my neighbors, they told me about this meeting, and I wanted to be here to let you know that even going out to get my mail, people have suggested, then why don't you get a P.O. box? I'm not getting a P.O. box. I'm walking down my driveway to get my mail. And the cars that come by, I'm not going to yell out obscenities, This day and age, they might turn around and come after me. So thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it. And anything that you can do would be most appreciated.
Yes. Do you have a comment?
Just one quick question. How would you be able to interact or be a part of the traffic study, at least be informed of what's going on with the traffic study?
Told you. John, come up and tell them how you guys do the traffic study so they know.
Well, they're going to most likely use the information that's gathered by the county for the counts of how many cars are using the street. They'll use the information from Mike as far as how many trucks he's going to have coming in and out of the... And I imagine there's also some generic information that they have to use, and then they will determine, how many more cars will be coming from what direction at what time. We're not really looking at sort of the, Route 1 intersection. Normal traffic study, you're looking at the light, but we just want to see how many people we think are going to be coming, through from Sharon, and I would think that most of the people coming here, and I'm not a traffic engineer though, are going to be coming from when you think, they're not. Okay. And then, as I said, we're Mike has already said, we're made sure, and then we'll even put signage that the trucks, if they come out to Pine Street, they have to go right. There's going to be no left turn allowed at all. So.
Well, you got a sign there that won't let those trucks go anyway.
Right. That's exactly right.
Well,
they're not going to be taking a left anyway, but we can double down with a sign at the end of Mike's property at that intersection that says right turn.
Include that in all the analysis you're going to give.
We're going to give you a full analysis.
Okay.
Right.
And we're going to get a copy of that?
You'll get a copy of that, sure.
Directly to us?
Yeah. It's going to be a
We just want to understand the process and the results.
Yeah.
You got I assume you got his email, right?
I do have Bob's email. I do have your email.
There'll be a bill attached when he sends it to you.
I was an engineer for 40 years. I know how to do those bills. Thank you.
We're not here to hide anything. Yeah, we want you to be able to be comfortable with it. I'm not saying you're going to ever be comfortable with the project, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but we should be comfortable that you got the information that you need to really understand exactly where everything's going to be.
Do we know what the hours of operation are going to be?
Yeah, sure.
All that's going to be part of what they got to submit. That's what the town engineer asked. We got to know how many guys are working there, how many trucks in and out, what's the average day. They got to include all that, and that'll be part of their submission, plus for their traffic study too.
And just one thing, man, there's not necessarily 19 employees. The way we come up with 19 parking spaces is Walpole's parking requirements for whether it's a single-family house or a business or a big retail place. So for this use, it goes by the size of the building. Okay, so it does not translate into that there's going to be 19 employees. I don't know how many might be. It's about 12 people. About 12. So it's not a sort of an apple to an apple kind of thing.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
I am definitely not talking at all. So, Dr. Barrett, Cranberry Lane, I just think, everything they said is correct. But just to make you understand, I'm Gano. I live on Cranberry Lane, so I see everything when I try to get out. So, and since Costco's come in, you exit my street like this. Okay? What you don't understand is when people are coming around that turn from Rojo's, and if you were coming out this way, they come around 9 times out of 10 on the wrong side of the road. So they're going to hit that truck, unless you have mirrors everywhere. And when you come from the Sharon side, you bless yourself because they come over that hill. Speed limit at 25 to the new people coming down Pine Street means 60. And it's a challenge, almost a rite of passage. How fast can you go down Pine Street now and not hit a wall? Which the neighbor across the street has been hitting several times. And we're usually running out there to see if anybody's injured. And basically the new thing is, who's going to be the first to pull over and move? It's now becoming chicken. How do you come out? And I have to take my grandchildren to school in the morning. So it's definitely a little bit crazy. So I am one would love to see a business go on that empty lot, but I'd be worried about your trucks and your drivers as well coming out of that road. It's not just us, it's people as well, because it's that bad. And definitely Costco's didn't help. So, and also, my daughter would kill me. The turtles cross at that spot between May and September. So that's where they cross the pond. So that's it.
Thank you. All right, all set. So Bruce, you have any questions, comments at this juncture?
I had a question on the turning radius on the building. Just on the back side there, see it's 15 feet and then it's 29 feet right in the back side if you were, yeah. I'm just talking about like for high, that's like considered like a high hazard building because it's all wood products in it and stuff. So like getting around the building with like an ambulance or an engine, I know that's going to be a concern at some point.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I'll talk to the deputy chief.
Yeah, because like even getting an ambulance back there, an ambulance wouldn't be able to turn around to back up to get out of there.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying if something happens back here to
Yeah,
somebody
just speaking from experience, you can't get back there with an ambulance or an engine, so that's going to be a huge.
I'll see what the deputy chief has to say about that. I'll point that out to him.
Yeah, and then the other question I had was the dumpster, but I think you are already going to address that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was pretty much it.
Okay. Catherine?
John, when you do your comprehensive plan, I know that's not intended for us, it's for them, but could you make sure we get a copy of it?
Of the traffic study?
No, of the
of the plan
overlay and all the entrances and exits and.
Yeah, definitely.
And how can, now I know this isn't for us, but how can the pipe not be documented? Who owns the pipe?
I have no idea. It's not, and I'm going to tell you, it's not that unusual. Believe me, it's just not that unusual.
It is odd.
There's all sorts of things get put in the ground. You know, there's a sort of somebody just puts a pipe in the ground, there's a legal process to how that pipe is supposed to be handled, right? So like the gas company puts pipes in the ground, but in Norwood, in Walpole's street, but the town of Walpole doesn't own them. So there's different vehicles, there's different methods for those pipes to either remain in the ownership of the utility, the ownership of whoever put them in the ground, the ownership of the town. There's all sorts of laws and things that sort of dictate this stuff, and it can be complicated. And so, you know, you guys know me, I'm not the brightest light bulb out there, so somebody comes along and says, I want to tie into this pipe. I'm like, whoa, 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 who owns it? I don't know. So my advice is, why even bother with it? Why even bother trying to figure out who owns that pipe in Route 1? And I guarantee you the town of Walpole does not. I can't guarantee you, but I'm 99% sure the town of Walpole does not own that pipe. IORIO put it in. IORIO gets a street opening permit or trench permit, essentially, to be in a state highway. It has nothing to do with the town of Walpole. Ties into a manhole up here, and then that's it. They bury it, and everybody goes home. There's no documentation. There's no deed. There's no anything. So I'm not going to tell my client, hey, let's just tie into that pipe. We'd be pumping into it anyway, so it's not really, the septic system actually is probably, and this wasn't my motive, but it probably is the least expensive option for his connection. He either has to pump into this, or he has to pump into the force main that's coming from that pump station on Pine Street. So either way, and those things are, I'm not saying it's a big deal, but you're pumping into something that's already pumping. So if your sort of valve messes up, all of a sudden the poop's going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just
When
think,
did they stop making it that you could only do septic if it was a hardship?
no, that's not in Title V anymore. Title V says you cannot put a septic system where there's a sewer available if you need a variance from Title V. We don't need any variances from Title V. We're going to meet Title V to its max. We're going to meet every aspect of Title V. And not to beat a dead horse here, but if you think about it, Walpole has wells. That's the only place where we get our water, right? Half of our water goes into Boston Harbor. So every day you're losing half of your water. So really, a septic system that's designed and installed in accordance with Title V actually is recharging the water back into the aquifer. It's not a terrible thing to do. In fact, some places, like in California, they treat the water and then they dump it back onto the aquifer. They treat it in big treatment plants and then pipe it, a long distance to put it back onto the aquifer, because really what we do in Walpole is not sustainable. So at some point we're going to run out. So editorializing.
That's all right, John. 20 years ago, I stopped. I will say I stopped it from doing sewer and water. I had that stupid idea to sue the whole town. I said, you guys got aquifers and you want to sue the whole town and send it out to Boston Harbor? What, are you stupid?
There you go. You're 100% correct.
Dumb. It was just
Here it's 50%. Imagine if it was 100%, taking all of your water and sending it right back.
The other thing I like, the impervious, and they want.
The ocean,
No, I know I'm getting editorialized, but they want you to put your drain pipe into the ground. Well, where do you think the water goes after it hits the ground? I mean, above, but that's...
No, when I did my house, I had to prove hardship. They wouldn't let me.
Yeah, there was a time when, so in 1995, they changed that in Title V. So in 1995, Title V was, brought up to modern standards, let's say, and they changed that. They changed it. It used to say if there was a sewer available, you had to tie in. Right. Now it says if there's a sewer available, you only need to tie in if you can't meet Title V, essentially. If you can meet Title V, it's fine. It makes a lot of sense.
All right. My quick comment as we're going by snow storage, but I'm sure you're going to put that on the next plan. It's the first time I said that. I don't care where you put this. I don't care where snow goes. John?
Mr. Gloss, thank you. Can you show us in the next plan where specifically the access points for the other streets will be for Hilltop and for Rojo? And I don't know if the exit off of Route 1 would be in the same area.
We can make another plan or an exhibit plan
That would be
with
useful.
all of those items. I wrote that down to show all of the, how they all connect and where this one's going to connect, how the road curves, all that stuff. And we have about 90% of that information in our office already. So.
Excellent. Okay. And then do I understand correctly that both of the access points will be both ingress and egress?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And is the intention that only is there any intention to have customers basically, or is the intention only that employees of the business will be using those access points in a normal day?
We didn't, in my presentation, in what I submitted, I didn't say that there would be any restriction on any of this. That's probably something we'd rather ferret out with the board and with anyone else who has a stake in that.
Yeah.
So we didn't put any restriction. Tonight, Mike already told you that he would be willing to have the trucks only turn right when they come out onto Pine Street. So there's one restriction. As far as, I don't know really how you can control that as far as where the employees are going to come from and how you get there. But
I appreciate that. I guess the only thing I'd say is any opinion that I would have would depend on the traffic study that you're doing, which I appreciate. To the extent of what that says, I think there's different worries based on the employees versus on through traffic and cut-throughs, and I would wonder, based on what the study says, if there's any concern about cut-throughs, if you would consider having some sort of gate on Pine Street that the employees would be able to control, but through traffic would not.
well, we can think about that.
Okay. That's it.
I mean, so Mike's telling us there's only 12 employees here, so there's six coming in the morning.
Right.
12 coming in the morning.
Which I appreciate, and I think there's a separate consideration about through traffic.
Yeah.
Are you talking about
cut through? Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, so there will be gates.
Excellent. Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't want that. Mike doesn't.
Overnight, so we know.
Okay.
You already know.
Yeah, that's a good point, John.
Thank you.
But a couple of things that John had mentioned. One of them is you should tell us your customers. I'm not quite sure. I don't think it's a showroom. So if it's just somebody coming in and look at his fence, it's supposed to be shipped or something, just what you expect in a day. It's not a showroom.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
So kind of tell us so everybody knows.
How many people are coming and going?
Or is it the guys coming to complain that you haven't done the job or something like that?
It's not a showroom. You're not going to have any sales from. It
Oh, it
is.
is? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a showroom here and then an outdoor area.
So I can give you a normal day's traffic of customers and pickups and all that kind of stuff.
All right. The other thing, John, is just for everybody's info, you're talking about cut-throughs. I wouldn't go there even if it was open, but could you just tell us the time if you went along your street and got to Route 1 or just to get out to Route 1 on Pine? If you're in a car, do I go through their property or do I just go to Route 1? I think Route 1's going to be faster, but could you just show us how quick to get to Route 1 from both?
So if you're somewhere in here?
No, what I'm saying, I'm on Pine Street and I'm going to cut the light. Yeah. What's the time from when we enter your property to exit versus just going up to Route 1?
Okay.
You just look at it, it doesn't make any sense anyway, because no one's going to cut that. It'll take them too long. But just so everybody has it and we know what's up.
And will they see the Pine Street exit from Route 1? And this is like you see people do it through Big Y all the time, but there you can see from High Plain that there is an exit onto Route 1.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're going to be able to see it. You're not going to be able to see it.
Yeah, this is the whole way we're going to see it. That's all wood.
No, but if you could just, the distance and the average speed versus the distance, the average speed to get here. Which am I going to win? That's all.
That part. Yeah.
Okay. And John, are you all set, John Griffin?
All set, thanks.
John O'Leary?
Okay, couple of questions. So the front piece of the building is going to be retail and office. The middle portion will be fabrication of the fences themselves.
The middle building is essentially a wood shop. So you'll have benches with rails and pickets, and they'll be nailed together, that type of thing. So the tools in there are going to be drills.
It's all hand tools, electrical hand tools, I think, nothing major. The last part, I kind of got the impression that was just going to be covered storage, but is it going to be enclosed?
So
or
there's a second building in the back where the vinyl fences are manufactured. So the middle is wood,
Yeah.
and the rear is vinyl. There's also a section for chain link. The last 15 feet of that rear building is covered storage.
It doesn't, well, add line, it doesn't really show here, because this part here is not really a building, it's just a room. There's no
I echo Bruce's idea of that's kind of a narrow spot. Is there going to be exits to those buildings to the north side?
Yes, there'll be overhead doors on both sides.
Okay.
Each building.
So it'll be loading and unloading from both sides then?
Basically, what you're doing is the material that is on the north side of the building is brought into the building there, and then the finished product's brought out on the other side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying on that. I was wondering if that could be not modified to non-impervious surfaces, but if you're using it constantly, I guess that doesn't work out. Most of your, okay, trying to think of the general concept. You receive raw materials in basically, and you create the fence on site.
Correct.
That's wooden fences and like the white vinyl fences you see everywhere now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all actually put together at your location.
Correct. Inside the building.
Inside the building. Okay. Now, do you primarily sell directly to customers, or do you also like wholesale to other locations, or both?
So we wholesale to other fence companies. We also wholesale to installers and landscapers. We also sell to the general public.
Okay, so it's a combination. And you said you're going to come up with numbers for people who stop in to check out what's there, or check out your product. In your opinion, is most of your incoming supplies going to be coming up Route 1? Or how much of your...
Suppliers will exclusively come in through Route 1.
Okay. So the access to Pine Street would mostly be for the benefit of employees then?
Customers primarily, I think.
Customers and employees?
Leaving the property.
Okay. So the trucks traffic off of Pine Street would be minimal then?
Very minimal.
And I guess the fire department's going to require you have to turn around, whatever, to show they can get the trucks around the back.
I'm sure they would prefer the way it is.
Yeah. That might be interesting. The road slope towards the bottom of the map, basically, the entrances and the paved surfaces. Is there...
Everything slopes
down that way.
to
Is there any significant slope that might need a fence along that bottom corner, kind of?
Well, I think that's what your town engineer asked us.
He asked about that, okay.
To look at, to see what if there should be anything there. Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the hours of operation? Or?
We are generally open from 7 to 4:30.
Okay.
So the employees generally show up maybe 6:30, and then they're ready to go to work at 7.
I think that covers anything for now, Jack.
11:15.
Thank you.
Yeah. on forever.
I'm all set.
All set?
Yeah.
All right, John,
Yeah,
speak. You know,
well, we've got conservation in like 3 weeks, so probably after that, wouldn't you say?
okay, after could be the next day or the next, time frame that makes sense.
After,
I understand after, but you gotta get your stuff together and everything else. When's, I don't wanna be sitting here and we don't have it
no,
done.
well, that's going to give me about a month, right?
Yeah. We need extension from them, sir? All right, so September's out, so you'd have to go in October, right?
First meeting, and we'll be ready. We'll be done.
What's the first meeting in October?
7th?
I don't know what it is that it?
Or the first?
The 1st.
First.
October 1st? Whoa. There's one day into October, John, huh? Boy, the 30th is gonna be a big day at the office, huh? You're all set for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need extension, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I mean, if you want to give us one anyway.
Yeah, but I wanna make sure we're gonna go to the end of October anyway, just.
Yes, September 2nd.
All right. Can you give us an extension through October 31st?
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to allow the applicant extension through October 31st.
Second?
Second from John, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, October 1, I got a feeling nobody's there yet.
Not yet.
Give you a little time, make it like 8, so you got an hour extra. 7, we'll go 7:10, okay?
Whatever.
Okay. There'll be no more notifications, so this will, our next meeting, October 1st at 7:10. Okay? Thank you. Thank you. Bye, John. All right. Last item. Roscommon.
Good evening. Board, Chairman Jack. Mr. Tenson here for Whitman Homes. Rich Whittington would be here. He's been here throughout all these meetings, but he has a family obligation, so he was unable to attend tonight and extends his apology for that. As you recall, the last time we were here, the board wanted us to get the parties that were involved in Gigi's Way and Lot 30 here. I sent out some letters, and we have Alan Gary here. He's the owner of Lot 30. And we also have Mike Biano here. He has some involvement with regard to Gigi's Way. And so they're here to answer questions the board may have, but I'd like to do a little song and dance here, a little informational trip down memory lane before we get to that. So just a brief history of Roscommon regarding open space, parcel 1, lot 30, and the equestrian use, because that seems to be one of the things that's the bone of contention. So just historically, in 2016, yes, 10 years ago, the planning board decision approved this subdivision, and it contained special condition 5, okay? That condition, we can read through it, but I'm representing to you, it was permissive, not mandatory, in terms of constructing the barn and paddock, and it permitted combining this equestrian use with Lot 30. It also set upper limits in terms of the size of the barn, really not a minimum. So essentially like a 10 by 10 structure would be, and it not having any plumbing would be something that would be in compliance with what that special condition required. Then in 2017, a conservation restriction was negotiated with conservation and approved by the Board of Selectmen. It's specifically named the Neponset Valley Watershed Association, NRWA, as the grantee responsible for monitoring the restriction, the conservation restriction, and to be notified prior to any construction of the barn and paddock on open space parcel 1. Also in 2017, there was a grant of restrictions, and it specifically states in paragraph 1 that the equestrian use, the barn and paddock on open space parcel number 1, shall be owned and controlled by the owner of Lot 30. So the planning board initially in their decision allowed this combination, and then in 2017, when this restriction was drafted and negotiated with the Conservation Commission and the Board of Selectmen, that permissiveness came to fruition. In 2018, there was a maintenance agreement, and it's on record, between Roscommon Homeowners Trust and the owner of Open Space Parcel 1. At that time, it was a company that Mr. Viano was involved in. And it also bound successors and assigns of Lot 30, requiring the owner of Lot 30 to be solely responsible for any and all costs associated with the equestrian use on Open Space Parcel 1. So that's like the sequence of events. So 3 things can be concluded from these documents when you put them together. First of all, because Lot 30 is now owned by Alan Gary, not Whitman Homes. Whitman Homes is not responsible for the barn and paddock, assuming they were going to be built. Due to the language, if an owner of Lot 30 wanted to build a barn, it could be on Open Space Parcel 1, it could be a small structure. It doesn't have to be anything glorious, and it would satisfy the decision. And since the conservation restriction was negotiated with the Concom, and it's now controlled by the NRWA, is Open Space Parcel 1 and the barn and paddock / equestrian use still even a planning board issue? So ultimately, what Whitman Homes would like to do in their request, you know, they posted the bond for this. They're not trying to pull back the bond improperly or inappropriately or anything like that, and they're willing to be on there for the time being. And they're hoping that the barn and paddock can come out of that. And they're hoping that the planning board would schedule a residence hearing such that the planning board can ultimately vote to reduce the bond on Emerald and Kilronan, as we had previously requested, and including the barn and paddock coming off or being reduced. And also, they'd like to get a letter of recommendation for Emerald and Kilronan to be approved as public ways so that they can get that going. Now, ultimately, just in the background here, and you know, this may be part of what you want to question about, but Whitman is seeking to have the owners of Lot 30 and or Mr. Viano or whatever entity is currently involved there post the bond for Gigi's Way that's acceptable to the planning board. for the remainder of the work regarding Gigi's Way. If that's approved, Whitman would then deed the fee in the road, Gigi's Way, to that entity, and then it could be released from the bond. But ultimately, you know, these contracts make others responsible for both not Whitman Homes, for Gigi's Way, and for anything to do with the open space parcel 1 and the equestrian use. Hopefully that gives you guys what you're looking for. And again, gentlemen are here if you have questions.
All right, I was here for all this. I didn't vote for this initially. Shouldn't have, but voted. But anyway, the bond and paddock came out of left field at the last hearing. Just to give you understanding, Chris, just like, where did that come from, right? Never discussed with us. I know how somebody wanted to market it, and they convinced the so this is a conservation. So that got written up. And I agree, when you go back and read it again, it says maximum 2,000 feet. All right, so if I was going to build you a house and I say 300 grand for a maximum of 2,000 feet, would you sign that deal? No. No, because it would be, here it is, 1 square foot. All right, so that's an issue. The other issue, you don't even have to put a bathroom in, it's maximum. It was written stupidly because the way it got shoved in there. But after reading this, and I did some research after Mr. Whittington, I think he was afraid to come tonight, but anyway. But I read, and I got it from Sarah, and I did see that it's like, they took it, originally that would be like an improvement on a subdivision. Put a bench, put a playground. So that's what it was intended to be. But the conservation and their restriction took it away from us. I'm happy, because it's not in our thing, it's with, but then they put it to lot 30, so basically what he was saying is I own building the thing. And I wasn't sure quite, but based upon that, you have a conservation restriction that was approved by the conservation, the owners, and the selectmen, so that makes it on lot 30. So that's, in my estimation, is not germane to our issue here. So as far as Gigi Way, we knock out the bond and the paddock, so we have no responsibility. We can't even force you to do it based upon the legal, what I see. And based upon some of the memos we get from legal, we spend $1 more, we're all going to have a GoFundMe page, right?
By the way, Rich, he really does have a friend of it. I won't get into it in too much detail, but he's at something for a friend who...
No, I know. Yeah, no, I'm only saying, but... So what happened is they just took it, so basically, and I had the bond things here, I think we all got a copy, they just took it out, so it's no longer part of us. That's great, okay? The next part is what you're saying is that the rest of Roscommons to that point is all ready to go, and we'll hold Gigi's Way like this because of basically the bond and paddock and getting the rest of it done. Now you've come back with another item, which is, maybe I hope I'm not going too fast. So the way you phrased it, Chris, is he has to have the road released from us before he could sell it a fee interest to whomever.
Well,
because it's still, until it's all considered one. Cut the cord. You have if you had the residence hearing and we released the bond at that time, that's gone. So the only thing left on the subdivision under our control is Gigi's Way. Then you could sell that or bond it with somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, these guys back here are responsible for constructing and finishing Gigi's Way. And so
Whitman Homes
has the fee. I mean, by contract, those guys are responsible.
That
doesn't matter to you, but he would like to get out. And so
no, I understand.
These guys are supposed to finish the work.
The way I'm explaining it, it's very simple, is I understand the process. So we got to do a process where we tell you to have a residence hearing, and if there's no problems, it gets released. So you and I on Roscommons are done.
Yep.
So now the only thing left in that whole subdivision is Gigi's Way. Now, If he wants to sell it, that's fine, but we can't not have a bond, so it would be Whitman Homes getting these guys to want to step in with an agreement to buy it from him and then give us a bond, just like you said. But step one is gotta get Roscommon off the table.
Yes.
Then we can go get that done. Does that make it?
Sure, and I mean, they seem to be, in discussions before coming in here tonight, they seem to be prepared to, seems like they have had discussions about getting Gigi's Way done, and I know you guys want that done.
Yep. So, I don't know, everybody in the neighbors, do you have any questions, how it's the process?
No, they were here last time, but.
No.
My thought is, I'm not sure how it goes, that assuming we go over, we get the residence hearing, and we approve the two other roads.
At Roscommon.
Yeah. And
Kilronan and Emerald.
Kilronan, yeah, and get them accepted. What do we then hold that will require them to complete Gigi's Way?
Well, what we would do, John, is we would still hold the amount of money that we got from the town engineer with Whitman Homes. We'd only reduce his bond.
We'd hold this much.
Yeah, we never let Whitman Homes go away.
Okay.
The day we let Whitman's home go away, when they come in with agreement that they sell it and the guy buying it gives us a bond. So at that point, we'd accept their bond at the meeting and release Whitman Homes bonds.
Yeah.
So we'll never be without.
Okay, so we'll be holding this amount.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So it's always going to be right here.
Yeah, you folks will always, you're always protected, so to speak.
Yeah.
Whitman's not leaving their responsibility, until someone else would post
Someone
it.
else is accepting.
It's someone else, and we do that bond first, and then we release the Whitman from it.
Right.
So, okay.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
We always encourage the applicant, when they still have a conservation hearing hanging, to go to conservation and then come back to us before we close, because if conservation makes a change, they have to come back to us. So why did that not have to happen in this case?
They didn't change anything on the plan.
So it's just a plan change?
What? No, they just changed who had to build the thing.
Conservation did,
Yeah.
and select board?
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically kept everything, so to speak, the same, except because the planning board said that you can, in your decision, you said that that Lot 30 and the equestrian can be combined. The conservation and selectmen acted upon that and did that.
They combined.
So it didn't change your...
And
Okay.
the other thing on the Ponset Valley, I don't know if you're familiar with that, Ian Cook, I don't know if he's still there.
He's still there.
Okay, it was either us checking the open space, which the town, will never happen, or they volunteered to do it. So they were the ones.
He checks it.
Remember?
No, I do remember he came with a report
Yeah,
to
yeah,
one of our meetings about
Years ago.
debris and,
Oh, yeah. No, he's on it.
So, all
I
right.
know Whitman has been dealing with him, in terms of working with him to get all of his concerns.
All right, so does anybody have an issue with them going forward with the residence hearing?
No.
No?
All right, get it done for next time?
Sure. When can you have us?
We don't have to schedule it any time, but we can give you a time. But all you gotta do is notice the people who live on the street, who own the houses on the street.
Okay.
Nobody else.
So then, after we get that notice out, we'll just contact Sarah
For what?
to come in for residence hearing?
Well, you wanna do it now, we'll give you one.
Okay, all right, perfect.
But you gotta get everything out, right?
We'll do it.
What's,
The
What do we
3rd
got?
or the 17th?
you-
7:05 we have.
is there anything on for September?
September 17th we have a 7:05.
It's September 17th, how about September 3rd?
We have a 7:05. But they're
But we
probably
can-
going to continue.
Yeah, but we can put them on. Can you make the 3rd?
17th.
Because all that matter, what?
Do the 17th, because if they continue, we're going to be coming out just for that.
If who continues?
should.
She said the 7:05 might continue. Yeah.
Donald Trump?
So,
No, I don't think they are. Because they're talking today, they're resubmitting plans, but they're gonna make it in time. That's the one for Country Kitchen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to do the 17th?
17th, okay, you want 17th,
Just
okay.
make sure everything gets out.
All right, so all you do is send it out to all the people on the street, and you know what the residence hearing's about, right? So that you don't get the, even though we've already released it, when you get to town meeting, you don't get someone up there bitching and saying, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong. Yeah, just say.
And quite frankly, you know, they've already talked to the homeowners association. I think it should go smoothly.
So when that's done, okay, we'll release the bond down to what's left. And so I'll tell you now, so you guys know what you're up against. Town engineer figured Gigi's Way from the top course, the basins, the hoods, the paint and the hydrant, catch basins, whatever, seating, fence. He's saying 149, so 150 grand. So that would be, that's what Whittington's bond would be reduced to. When we have if everything goes smooth, the residence hearing, we reduce the bond on Gigi's, the whole subdivision to 150 grand.
Does that matter if I think the base coat's in?
Yeah, well, no, it's here, it's top coat.
Okay,
It's
so just top, yeah.
If they want, they can get the whole thing from the engineer department. It gives you all a list, and they took out the paddock and bond. Pick one, $1, $1 million.
Appreciate that.
All right, so you understand the process? You guys understand the process back there, too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And the one thing that you understand, I don't know who's getting the bond from you guys, but you got to get it to us ahead of time, because it's got to go downstairs to the finance department. They got to, if you're doing an insurance bond, she's got to check it. If you're doing a tripartite, she's got to check it to see if the banks, if you're doing cash, fine. We don't have to have anybody other than a certified check. So, but just be aware that don't come in with the bond that night, and we got to get our approvals from the finance department one way or another. You're on the board when you did this, Chris.
Okay.
Nice going. All right, so everybody understand, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much, board.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, good night.
There's someone in the back that wants to speak.
What?
Mr. Miano would like to speak.
Yeah.
So, and Alan, who's the owner, is here, but Michael Piano. We do have the bond figure. There are a number of items, and this was all brought to my attention in the last week and a half, that have already been long since done, that are on this list, which we will work out with the town engineer.
Yep.
Basically, what's left to do is the top coat, repair the loam and seed. Our agreement, we have two outstanding items with Alan. Once the top coat and the loam and seed is up to and ready for a street acceptance, we've agreed to oversee that street acceptance and carry that through for him, which, to that end, John Glassa, 2 or 3 years ago, did prepare the acceptance plan. He's already, and I checked with him this afternoon, he's already prepared the as-built plan, which he will then modify as needed once the final work is done. And he's already put the stone bounds in, and he has the certification. He called me late this afternoon and said, I've got it right here. But he's not submitting that stuff. He worked it out with Maggie Walker and Carl Balduff 3 years ago. He's not submitting it until it's time to do the street acceptance. Secondly, we have, and this is why I really wanted to speak to the board, we are obligated to do the street trees, and to that end, 3 years ago, I approached Carl Balduff, the former town engineer, and Chris Johnson, and the tree warden came out, because on the left side of that street, there are at least 14 mature trees. There really is no place you could plant a street tree. 4 of them at the end are pretty majestic oaks, and it just won't work. So we asked them to determine, and I read those emails today, it kind of got lost. We were trying to do it this was 23, we were trying to get it done for the fall. What Carl said is you need to go, same as on Olmsted that we did, and ask the planning board to determine that those trees do in fact, he says in his email just before Labor Day that year, that it was it's an informal meeting, but the planning board needs to know about it. And then so to that end, I would love to plant those trees before the season passes this year. If I can get the town engineer and tree warden again to look at this again and say, this is the number of trees, the trees that are there are in fact mature trees, we can bring you pictures. I looked at them earlier today. Can we get that done in the next meeting or two so we could put the remaining 7 or 8 trees on the other side of the street where the neighbors want them?
Well, my suggestion is you get them done and they send it to us. They say what, out of how many trees you're supposed to plant versus how many out there and what the difference is, if there isn't any, and he just sends it to us.
Okay, I will get that, and I will...
Because we're going to take it from them anyway, and then that will be reflected on the end. Can you do it with Chris Johnson and whoever, Steve?
I mean, basically,
Yeah, Mayo. And
Alan is here, and he can speak to his...
But while you're doing it, you also want to, if you say this stuff done, you got to get them out there. So get them all out at once so they can revise the bond. Okay. You guys all set? Any else? All right. So, see you on the 17th.
Night. Thank you.
Night.
Anybody have anything else? I don't think we got it. Oh, we got to sign the A&R.
Have to sign.
It's my dog and I can't.
See the cast.
It's now to here, the cast is now to here, so we can squat and go faster. It's to right here.
Where are we supposed to sign?
Right here. Ridiculous.
You gonna keep the cast? Hang up.
You can do any of it.
Do you have a painting worth $12,000 anywhere right
I don't have anything worth 12 grand other than my dog's leg.
That's what I'm saying. Put the cast up there.
You're on it like a haunter.
It's craziness.
My phone died like an hour.
Irresponsible.
Yeah, that's me.
I want to blow it to him, so sorry.
Katie, why don't you tell us how it really happened?
It was a bunny. It was chasing a bunny.
You've been drinking.
Was it a
At
wet
six-
week?
Go ahead,
At
Doc.
6 a.m.
Just the two, right?
It happened at 6 a.m.
It's on vacation. You've never drank at 6 a.m. on vacation?
No,
Ever drank at 6 a.m.?
no.
Well, we're going to confession. I want to hear that one.
Father, I drank and had 6 a.m.
I have not.
Father, I've lied and lied and lied.
Lied.
There you go, yeah. Oops, I'm going to do the other one. It's nice, we only...
All right, I know we haven't adjourned, but I gotta run. I'm sorry.
Motion to
He's due for medicine at 10 o'clock, so I gotta get home.
Oh, my God. Dog's probably pacing. Kate, if your mother had medicine due at 10, you say, I'll get Nana in a half hour.
It's what keeps me from going crazy.
Last one.
Good job.
Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Good night.
So go, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay.
I was confused too.
Anybody want the John Blossom presentation if there's trouble sleeping?
You want a date on here, Jack?
What?
Do you want a date on here?
Yes, today's date, yeah. Oh, my God.
Who's gonna second Bruce's motion?
What?
Who's seconding Bruce's motion?
Oh, second.